Well, hello, everybody. I want to thank
Howdy.
everybody for showing up tonight. We have a couple of special guests with us. Nick McCabe has come all the way from Australia to join us tonight. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's actually marvelous to be here.
We didn't scare you off with what we did backstage. Yeah, a lot of you
Oh,
guys in the
no, not at
chat.
all.
Yeah, we a lot of very interesting things. There were some Space Invaders audio issues, but we managed to work them out. So yeah, I mean, happy Australia Day to you, Nick McCabe.
Happy
We are
Australia
glad.
Day to you all.
I actually read about it a little bit in preparation for this live stream, but it's fascinating. So hail to you. Prophet of the Dragon is joining us tonight. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Always up for some Wheel of Time bashing and whatever other input I can give to anything else. But I'm good. How are you?
All right, it was great. Yeah, when we were in the backstage, he was Steve Prophet was actually talking about how his son was reading The Eye of the World for the first time, and that's something we're going to get into along with Nick. But before we do that, Mike, hail to you. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I've been busy, 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 and looking forward to the live stream. Always fun to do. Always fun to hang out with you guys, talk a little pop culture, a little bit of wheel time. Hopefully, we'll get some Lord of the Rings in there as well. I see on the schedule. So
Absolutely.
good
Yeah,
stuff.
you have been a content machine. I said it last week, and now you're doing it in 4K. So kudos to you, man. It's really great to see the work that you do, and I like what I'm seeing.
I appreciate it very much. Thanks.
Yeah, and that leaves us with Mike. That is OBG70 running his soundboard through the stream. So if things happen randomly and you hear crazy sounds, that would be Mike. Speaking of crazy sounds, Zax, Kyle, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Welcome to the chat. How's everybody doing?
This is awesome.
Yeah,
Sorry, somebody just popped something up on me.
oh,
So,
I've
yeah,
been not quite keeping up with Mike content wise, but I'm doing my best, and I'm trying to teach myself how to use DaVinci Resolve, which is quite a thing.
well,
Yeah,
you
I've heard good
actually
things.
posted. He actually posted a short video today on YouTube talking about a character from The Witcher, and we'll get into it later in the show. But it is fascinating how people play woke games and they win woke prizes. So, who do we have in the chat tonight? I want to take a look out there. I'm going to call. Look at this. We've got William 101. Hail. What's up, Wolf Brother? We have Punk Waddle, yet another channel member. Hello, my Wolf Brother. And there we go, Al Dan. Look at this group of beautiful people we've got in a chat. This is fantastic. And then, of course, Zax. This is fantastic. Thank you all so much for showing up tonight. We're going to be covering a variety of topics, but let's go ahead and start with the whole reason that we wanted to bring Nick McCabe on, unless anyone has anything that they'd like to detour to first. All right. So
Yeah.
Nick, you and I started chatting on Twitter, and we had started talking about how you had been watching the Wheel of Time on Amazon
Hmm.
while reading The Eye of the World for the first time.
Yep,
And
that's right.
I'm
go
sorry
ahead
you
and
put yourself through that. By the way, just read the books.
Yeah, so I've pretty much told everyone who'll actually listen to me at this point that I'm very new to Wheel of Time, the books as well. I was actually recommended them by I wonder if you've heard the YouTuber Steak Kenobi. Yeah,
yeah.
he's cool. Yeah, he's great, hilarious, and yeah. So on his recommendation, my brother and I we bought the audiobook, and oh my god, the audiobook is fantastic, by the way.
That's so good.
And
Mhm.
so far, we're roughly halfway through, and it was roughly sort of when the show started that we decided, nah, bugger this, we're going to read the book as well, and maybe weigh them against each other, and yeah, so I watched the series and I just wasn't happy at all. As far as adaptations go, it's terrible.
Hmm.
Putting it
Bloody
nicely, I
terrible.
think. You're too kind.
Oh, I mean, I could, if you want me to really unload, I can, but I don't want to get this stream taken down.
Well, so when was it that you first noticed what it was that turned you off about the Wheel of Time series?
Oh, the
Did it
first 2
take
minutes.
of really of
Wow,
Yeah,
episode
that's
one?
it was pretty much Leandrin chasing those two guys, right at the beginning, and even just at that scene, I was like, "Oh my god, here we go."
Had you
You
had you started the
you
book at
just
that point?
knew where it was going, and it wasn't good.
Had you started the book at that point, or that it was just
Um,
like, because that's
I
sort of
can't remember. I
interesting.
think maybe read one or two chapters, but
Okay.
after that, it's actually quite an easy read. I find we're
Hmm.
like I said, we're about halfway through. They've just exited Logoth and have
Yeah,
now
yeah.
separated. And unlike the Moraine in the show, Moraine and Lan are actually making a concerted effort to go looking for
Oh,
the boys.
the people they're looking for? They're looking for the
Yeah,
people they're looking for.
the
Oh
people
my god.
supposedly who are either destined to destroy the world or save the world. The important characters.
Huh. Yeah.
And those were both boys and girls, right?
Yep,
It
boys
was
and girls
because the Dragon Reborn can be a boy or a girl, right? Of course, that was in the
in the
book.
show,
Other,
apparently.
yeah. I'm of course being
Sarcasm on, yeah.
sarcastic.
Yeah.
Well, I find it. I actually find it interesting, just because it's been a while since I read Eye of the World, and I forgot that Shadow Logoth is that far into Eye of the World, and they just get that all wrapped up quick and tidy in
Yeah,
episode
I know. I
two.
mean, there's no build
It's
up in the
yeah.
in the show. They just get it out of the way, and then after episode 2, it's all bloody fluff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, what about you, Zax, with what you're hearing from Nick McCabe? I mean, we've talked about our own experiences, but was there anything that Nick said that stuck out with you that you maybe want to follow up with him on?
Absolutely, because the first thing you said was the same thing that affected me the most was that introduction, which is why I did a whole video breaking down how bad it was. And it took me 3 tries to watch that, get through that scene. I stopped myself twice, and the third time I forced through it, but it was just horribly done, a terrible way to start a show. And it set everything up. Um, well, I mean, there was Man of Manethrin put up a video about it the other day, but there's a lot of man hitting in that intro, and it's unnecessary.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Lots of man hating.
Yeah, and I apologize. I boomered the chat. You guys are now on screen. I apologize for that. Too many
Hey.
things in the background, but yeah, I mean, I said it in the first video that I did that it was within the first 20 seconds of watching episode 1 that I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not Robert Jordan's story, and it took me a while to actually watch that first episode, but I did. But so that being said, Nick McCabe, reading or listening to as you are Eye of the World, what was it that struck you about the tone of the book and especially the characterizations of the boys from Emmons
Yeah.
Field? You know?
Well, one thing that I've been discussing with my brother very recently is actually the maturity level of the actual show itself.
Mhm.
And he and I were saying that despite them upping the ages of the characters, it is an incredibly immature show.
Uh-huh.
Whereas the book, even though the characters are quite young, um, I don't know, it's just handled with so much more love and care, you know?
Yes.
I think probably
Yes.
the only one that acts
It doesn't
like
what do you call it, talk down to the audience.
yeah, I
Mm-mm.
think the only one that really acts childish is Matt at first, because he's just you know, a
Mm.
jokester. So he's just
Yeah,
a wacky kid that's annoying. Uh,
yeah,
I think that's on purpose, as you'll find out later in the books. But
yeah,
yeah, I agree.
yeah. Absolutely. And Mike, what about you? I mean, are you hearing things that rhyme or ring with what your experience was of episode 1?
Yes. So, yeah, Nick brought up a really good point. He said that they were actually looking for the lost kids. They were looking for them.
Hmm.
And what I was really kind of upset about in the television show, among a thousand other things, was that they hung out in that camp where they had Logain inside the cave in the cage, and they all kind of just hung out there. And the entire time I'm thinking, the Trollocs, the Fades, they could have the kids already. They could have them.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there trying to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
They could have fallen down and broken their neck. They could have been robbed by bandits. I mean, there's a thousand things that could have happened to these kids, and no, and they're rather just hang out there at the camp and tell stories. And it's like, get off your ass and go find them.
Well, yeah, even I mean, even just it that just the lack of, I guess, caring that they seem to show. I mean, it's just like, oh, they'll go to the White Tower. It's like
Mhm.
Nynaeve is there. She doesn't seem to give two tosses what's going on with this. Like, oh, where are my people? Oh, they're going to the White Tower. Okay, cool. It's like, huh? Like, that's it. It's just okay. These young people that have never been out of the Two Rivers before, they're gonna find their way
Yeah.
to the White Tower, no problem. The biggest city on the planet.
Yeah.
It's like, what is happening? So it's
Yeah, they
nuts.
were. Was it Randon and Matt were just locked in a room pretty much all those episodes? They didn't do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's another consequence of aging the characters up. I mean, one of the things that we see, and I have had so many chat vigorous disagreements with people in my comments section talking about what age really were Rand, Matt, and Parrot.
13 and 14.
And you see, and there are people who in my comments section who I think, oh boy, maybe they're not expressing their own viewpoint. I'll just say that. Maybe somebody's telling them what to say. Maybe I'll say that. But I keep saying tops, this is like 15, 16, 17 years old. Maybe Perrin is maybe 17, maybe almost 18. But it's when you're that age versus, let's say, mid 20s that are in the show, it's going to change everything, especially if you're in some
Yeah, the whole
dysfunctional
dynamic.
you're in the CW relationship, bonking Egwene in her mom's bar at closing time. I mean, it fundamentally for me was an intentional change to diminish the innocence of the characters and therefore, make the world smaller for the whole freaking series. I mean, am I wrong about that, Nick?
No,
Anybody?
I totally agree.
One of the things I noticed about this series is that there's no real distance or sense of scale to anything when you're traveling, and you could tell Rafe doesn't really like the characters or who should be the main characters because
Yes.
he doesn't develop any of them. Like, it's active dislike.
Oh
It's
God,
not just
yes.
that he doesn't he dislikes the boys, and even Egwene doesn't really get developed. It's Nynaeve and Moraine, but I wouldn't even call them fully formed characters at this point. They're just
Mhm.
maybe caricatures is a better term for them.
The
But
thing is, they're barely even archetypes.
Yeah.
yes,
They're
yeah,
really just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's
No,
nothing really distinct about them.
Well,
they're
I just yeah.
NPCs. The
Yeah,
entire
Well,
show is
I
full of
just
NPCs.
yeah, they're just being
That's
dragged
all it
along.
is.
just
Yeah.
the need to make Nynaeve and Egwene for me the two main characters out of Two Rivers is just overwhelming. At least and Egwene is just a plank of wood for to steal other better YouTubers analogy.
I agree with that, and it's I using that term NPC. What it feels like to me is the biggest NPC of the Wheel of Time is Perrin. I mean, Perrin serves no
Poor
purpose in
Perrin.
this show at
The more
all.
and more I think about it, I think even more so than Matt, Perrin has been utterly destroyed.
Yes.
Utterly, because yeah, I mean they've messed up his power too, like
Oh yeah.
100%. Like he's just,
Yep.
like from just his just the core of Perrin, who he is. They messed that up in the first episode, and then just his his ability, for lack of a better term, just not having any understanding of what that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, Nick. It's much better in the book, but I don't know if I'm trying to think where you're at to if parents
Oh,
started developing any
where
of
I'm
that yet. But
where I'm
Hey,
at
Nick,
is
can
oh,
you
sorry.
hold that thought 1 second? No,
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
mean to interrupt you. I want to get to this super chat. Mike, that's your cue. There it is. Teamwork. This is from Lyle Hammock, who is a long-time supporter of this channel. Lyle, it's so great to see you. $50 US. Hail to you, sir. Before we do that, I am going to give you one of our brand new chat video segments.
Now for wrath, now for ruin, and the red dawn.
Thank you so much, Lyle Hammock. Again, $50. You guys are amazing. We have the best chat. Thank you all for
Nothing but
showing
the
up
rings.
tonight. This is one of my favorite nights of the week, and it's because of all you guys showing up tonight, and of course these lunatics who agree to be on YouTube with me. I'll get to the super chat. Lyle Hammock says, "Hello all. I just finished the book 3. Oh my God, that's fantastic. Am on book 4. Amazing story. Loving it so far. I have realized that on the show is I don't feel." Oh, okay. Let me start this. Hello, all. I just finished the book 3 and on book 4. Amazing story. Loving it so far. I have realized that
it's probably in the show.
in the show is I don't feel the epic battle of good versus evil across a sweeping saga like the book world of the show is, and it's of course cut off. Let me jump around.
Probably small.
Is small. So I'm sorry I butchered that, Lyle. What we're getting is that it's true. The show is a small world, and I kept using the analogy of an bad off Broadway play. That's what the Wheel of Time looked like from a costume perspective, from a CG perspective, and the acting perspective. So, I mean, Lyle, you're 100% correct. I mean, when we talk about moving from book 3, I mean, it's a major change to go from The Dragon Reborn to book 3. It's a shift of gears, but it's still a fantastic read. Now, anyone, Mike, Zax, tell me what your impressions are of The Dragon Reborn moving through the next couple of books of the series.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough, guys. They've done him so dirty. I don't know. I'm not even excited to read about Rand. I don't know anyone else, but I don't care. The show version, don't care at all. I just absolutely couldn't care less.
Yeah. In the
Well, I
books
read.
themselves. Go ahead.
Oh, wait,
Go
we're
ahead.
talking about the books where he's what he should be prepared for after the Dragon Reborn. Is that where we're at?
Yeah. So
That
book
would-
3, Dragon. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it just ramps up. I mean, the
Oh, you're
Shadow
talking about
Rising
the
is one of
books.
the best.
Okay.
I mean,
Sorry,
Shadow
yeah,
Rising
yeah.
is one of the best books in the series. Followed
Yeah.
by, I mean, Fires of Heaven. I mean, you're right. 4, 5, and 6. If you're not blazing through them,
Yep.
I don't know why you're
Yeah.
not why you're even reading the series, because those 4
Mhm.
books right there, those 3 books, they're just, I mean, you can't put them down. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I misunderstood the question. Yeah, no, the books. Holy crap! I mean, Rand.
Yeah.
Book 3, Rand is so
Yep.
freaking
Oh God,
badass.
yeah, the end of Dragon
Oh,
Reborn
yeah.
is
Guys
so
are going to be
good.
really
He-
excited.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything for you, Nick, but I mean,
Yeah.
Rand just comes into his
Well,
own. He starts believing.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
he's like Neo at the end of the Matrix. He starts to
Well,
believe,
Well,
and you
that's the whole,
go,
yeah. I
"Holy
think that's the whole,
shit!"
that's the beauty of the Dragon Reborn. I think, at least without spoiling too much, or trying
Mhm.
not to spoil it all, is just um, from Eye of the World to through the Great Hunt. You know he's the Dragon Reborn. By the end of the Dragon Reborn, he knows he's the Dragon Reborn,
Mhm.
and he
Exactly.
knows it 100% without a doubt that it's him. There's no doubt in it, and now it's about saving the world, basically, no matter what else happens to him.
Yep.
And
Book
it's just,
4 is
yeah.
freaking on
Well,
fire.
what is it? Demise Wells in 6. Just strap in. One of the best. One of my favorite scenes of any book ever. Just,
Yep.
it's awesome.
Which we'll never
Yeah.
see in the show.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
no,
so
no, no.
Lyle,
So Rafe, I have to see if I can find it. My brother showed it to me. He's on record apparently saying that's one of the scenes he most wants to portray in the series, which
Well,
scares
right.
the
I'm not.
bejesus
I'm
out
not
of me.
saying they won't betray it, but I'm saying it's not
Oh,
going to
okay.
be.
Well,
It's not
right.
going to be the Do My Wells that you're looking forward to.
Right.
It'll be
It'll be
something
like
else.
the end. It'll be like the end of the Eye of the World. All the men standing behind the women shooting.
so
lightning
Lyle,
bolts.
you got a lot to look forward to. I always love when someone who's reading the book series tells us where they are, their experiences versus the show. And thank you very much, Lyle. That you're very generous. So thank you. And you don't have to apologize, Lyle. My misreading is not your fault. So if I butchered it, I owe you one on that.
Man,
And look,
you
we've
got
got
some
Al
generous
Dan, who's
people.
a channel member. It says, agreed, Laz. At least what they did with Matt, while a disgrace gave him something. It's true. I mean, Perrin is like a coat rack. I mean, he's a coat rack. They still. I don't know what they're going to do to him, but I think one thing is for sure, because he's the embodiment of a maturing, masculine, powerful man in the books, a man
Yeah,
in the books, that they're
Well,
going to cuck him, much like
right.
Prophet is saying. So
We've got some
Well,
in
they've
the chat
taken-
here. Bard has
Go
been
ahead.
talking about this, and unfortunately, he could be correct in that what Rand will be doing is getting railed by Perrin later in the
Ooh.
series.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've taken the strongest, biggest, most manly guy out of the bunch of them, and he's a crybaby who can't do anything.
Mhm.
yeah.
He can run. They can all run. That's their
L-
biggest talent.
Let me get
Yeah.
to the super chat from Taker610, another long-time chat member. Thanks for showing up again, you guys. And I am going to go ahead and give you a little bit of love right back. All right, there we go. So thank you very much for the super chat. Taker610 says, Rafe said all the right things, but words are cheap. Hail to that. Also, words are wind if we want to jump across platforms of fantasy.
Mhm.
So what, Nick, you were
Yeah.
talking about experiencing the books and then what you saw on the screen. How far did you end up watching this series? Did you watch it all the way to the end, or did you get to a
I
place
watched
where you're like, I can't do this anymore?
I watched it all because I'm a masochist, apparently.
Mm.
But
Join the club. Yeah. Yeah.
I also have this thing where, maybe a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out. I also wanted to make informed opinions on
Yes.
the actual show itself.
Yeah.
But also, I had immense fun watching the show, but also watching the YouTuber Disparu completely tear the arse out of it.
Mm.
That was
I don't.
hilarious.
I have not seen those videos. I will have to check them out. I know
Well,
one
Oh
thing
yeah,
in
he does a
making.
marvelous job.
I think he's probably this, but until Shad and Night's Watch started ripping into it, I think he's probably the biggest YouTuber out there that just went off on it. I don't know, all the other bigger YouTube
Yeah.
channels just are shilling until. So yeah, I know it's a good watch. We'll just say that. Agreed.
I might have to go back and watch some of those because, like I'd said when I was making my videos, I honestly didn't watch anyone else's content. I wanted to give my own crazy take on it, but now that some time has gone by, I might go take a look at it. And in full disclosure, the first time I actually watched anything with Shad was on Friday Night Tights last Friday. I had never watched one of his videos. I'd heard a lot of different takes on what he did. in what he said. And I did find it interesting, some of the things that he said. And speaking to Nerdrotic, I didn't necessarily agree with all of the takes that he had. And there were many things that I really wish he maybe would have spoke to in a lot more depth. And that's not being harsh on Shad. I mean, any of us, could you imagine being on Friday Night Tights and put in that position to be the sole representative of those critical of the Wheel of Time series? But there were so many things I think a lot of us on this panel have talked about. But I think, like a lot of us have said, the Wheel of Time was the test balloon for the changes they are going to be making to Lord of the Rings. And I think with the Wheel of Time, they're perfecting their shilling approach to provide cover for it. And yeah, I mean, what do you guys think on the panel? Mike, Zach, Prophet, what do you think about that statement?
Oh, I think
I
I think
wasn't.
it's
I don't think he was there for Wheel of Time. I think he was there mostly for the Lord of the Rings take. So I think he was able to bring some Wheel of Time discussion into it. Uh, Gary did prompt him, if you want to go off on Wheel of Time for a while, be my guest. He did a little bit. He could have done more, but I don't think he was there for that. I think he's pretty busy. Wheel of Time is a very small subset of the things that he talks about.
yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, he speaks volumes on his Night's Watch stuff. So I mean, in
Mhm.
Chad I respect just because I think that just he knows what he likes, and for the most part, he's got a level head on him, and he's not gonna back down for anybody for the most part. So
Good.
I know that I'm not sure how much of the Friday Night Tights watchers are Wheel of Time people. I really don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe there are
Yeah.
a ton, but yeah, I've always respected Chad's opinion on pretty much anything, even if I don't agree. But that's the beauty of conversation, right?
I
Absolutely.
think I like Shad a lot, and I do enjoy the Night's Watch. I just think that setting, that forum isn't right for his style of presentation. He has to be the lead dog, I think, to really get the most out of what he has to say. And with
I
so
could
many
see that.
people on the panel, I think it's just not. I think nothing against how he did at all. He did
Yeah.
well, but he's better when it's him and his guys on the Night's Watch. In
I
my
can
opinion.
see that. I can see that. Yeah, I mean,
Wait.
it's one of those things. It's I'm gonna watch some of his new stuff on the Lord of the Rings just to get a sense of him away from Friday Night Tights, because again, my only experience was watching him on Nerdrotic Show. So
Mhm.
oh my
Well, and
God, you guys are
on that,
crazy.
well, and
Go
just
ahead.
I wanted to real quick, just because you were talking about Amazon just using Wheel of Time as their sort of like test, it's expensive test pool for the Lord of the Rings, but I just it's interesting because I think you're right. Obviously they're buying off people to make comments and social media and all that stuff, but just before we even went live here, my brother, who is a huge Wheel of Time fan too, was a holdout till episode 6, then he finally came
Wow.
over to the White Cloaks. Okay, White Cloaks subreddit, go. They're good people. But and there was in a, I guess it was a Facebook group, somebody saying that they didn't realize they couldn't get through the Shadow Rising, and the show was better. And it's just like why? Who are you? It's like you, the Shadow Rising, you can't get through. So it's it's definitely in full force. They're using the weight of their social media presence, I think, to try and do some astroturfing.
Yeah. Let me oh my God, this is one of my Wolf brothers. Before we get to the article, Mike, do your voodoo. This is a $50 super chat. William 101. Thank you very, very, very much. I mean, you guys it's so great to hang out with you guys. I'm just going to say that I am going to give you something. This one's for you.
Lock and load!
Fire.
Oh, who doesn't love Star Trek? I love that bit. So $50 super chat. Thank you. William 101 says, don't forget, we got almost a whole episode of Sad Water when they continuously pushed the narrative that they had to cut scenes and condense 15 books worth of material to make it work in 8 episodes. Hail
Yeah,
to you,
fluff.
William 101. And I'm going to loose you both. I know, Nick, you wanted to talk about that. I know, Prophet, you as well. So go to work. Hail to you, William 101. Absolutely correct.
You
Yeah,
go for it. Let's go.
oh.
You go.
Episode 4, I believe. Who are we kidding? Episode 3 as well. Episode 3, 4, and 5, I think, could have been completely gotten rid of.
Agreed. 100% gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But none more so than episode 4, where Moraine is actually in that cave shielding the false dragon.
Yep.
And you know how in the book she's actually going out and looking for the boys and everything, and even Nynaeve, Egwene and everything. You know, the people who are actually important to the story. Instead, she's sitting there wanting to interrogate a guy she already knows isn't the dragon.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, oh my goodness. Yeah. It's like she's so like, oh God. And I see the article, so I'm not gonna bury it, but she is so dumb in the show. She's just dumb. And it's like, well, 4 is like you get 2 back-to-back complete wastes of time. Like the nickname that is the show's got, the waste of time instead of the wheel of time is well earned, because you're right. 4 could be completely thrown away, and so can 5, because 5 is, as who was it that said this? William 101 said episode 5 is all sad water, nothing of value. Zero.
Okay, I have to
value, nothing.
I'm going to sarcastically disagree with you on that and say that keep in mind that Maxim is Rafe Judkins' boyfriend. The warder,
Yes,
one of Olenna's 2 warders is Maxim, and that's Rafe's boyfriend. And so it wasn't a waste. He got his boyfriend a lot of screen time. And so, like, that's totally worth tanking a show, right? You know?
William
Sure.
William 101,
That
thank
explains a
you.
lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being my wolf brother, and thank you for a magnificent super chat. Hail to you. What we one of the articles that we pulled up on this, and I am doing quadruple duty on this, was an article out of The Winter is Coming, and has Steve, Prophet of the Dragon, noticed it's written a lot of these same, arguably shilling articles you see are written by the same people. Now, this Dan Selke, he had written a couple different articles doing the same thing in multiple occasions, and so thanks to Steve for pointing that out. Well, here's one that he did 2 days ago. And why it's relevant is if you look at the title, 5 Ways the Wheel of Time Improved the Books, in 5 Ways it failed them.
Let me just interject real quick. Not to interrupt you, because I'm pretty sure, I'll have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure there is, because I just did a video on it, like literally right before he released one that's 4 ways.
Yes.
2 days ago as well. So
I believe
it's like, what's happening?
Well, I mean, what's happening is, and this is my opinion, this is the same strategy we can already see with Amazon's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Boy, that just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? But I think what they're doing is trying to perfect to see how they can affect people's perceptions by continually telling us things that are maybe not entirely true. Where have we seen that one before? So just to get into the article real quick. So late last year, Amazon finally answered the call, blah, blah, blah. The first season. So this is the first sentence I have problems with. The first season roughly covered the first book of the series, The Eye of the World.
About 2% of it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Let's go around the horn.
2%. Yeah, 2%. Maybe, if we're being generous. They got the names in a few of the places, so 2%. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, somebody needs to go through episode by episode and actually use a stopwatch and count how many minutes actually were from the plot of the book.
That's the plan, my friend.
Dude, I mean, yeah, I mean, and that's what Prophet of the Dragon wants to do. But honestly, I mean, if you're talking 8 episodes in one season, and we know for sure that at least in episode, well, I think at this point, 2.5 episodes were just completely fabricated that have nothing to do with the original
You
story.
can argue 6 too, because that's all
Well,
power
that's,
politics.
I
Yeah.
was thinking about that too. Yeah, I mean, so we are now down to 5.5 episodes. No, we're down to 4.5 episodes out of an 8-episode season. And in those, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
even know. I mean, the season finale. I mean, how much of that was even real? I mean, that's the problem with this, is that
No,
they
yeah.
did. I mean, look at this shilling. It makes no sense to me. So, I mean, and I know Nick McCabe, you are, I don't know where you are in the eye of the world, but from what you saw and what you saw on screen, what is your take on what this shill from Winter is Coming has to say?
Well, where I'm at right now in the book is actually, you guys actually just reminded me of it. It's actually where Perrin and Egwene meet. Oh God, I forgot his name. The wolf brother.
Oh, Elias.
Yeah, that's it. And all the
Yes.
wolves come, and it's
Mhm.
Oh,
such a really interesting scene too. Uh,
Yeah, not a fun
yeah,
not a
and
fun character to have in there, Elias. Let's not.
yeah, I think I did a little bit of wiki walking, and he appears much later in the series as well, doesn't he?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's a small character, but like my stance on Elias was I feel like they could have, like, that's where they should have tried to do their own thing with some of the more interesting characters that didn't get much screen time. So they
Hmm.
could have they could have introduced Elias, and then maybe we could have got some Elias backstory or something somewhere in there.
yeah.
But Elias is not really, he's important but not prevalent is the best way I think I can
Hmm.
describe
I mean,
Elias.
I maintain that the entirety of episode 3 could have actually been Perrin and Egwene and Elias. Just
Mm.
Why
them
why
doing what
wasn't he
they're
there?
doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Why wasn't he there? I mean, that's what my brother and I were asking when we were reading it. It's like, you want to set this thing. Even Rafe Judkins himself said, "Oh, the reason why we made all these changes is because they had
Oh, my bad. My bad.
You and that
it's because they
soundbar.
have what do you call it, far-reaching consequences. That they'll have
Yes.
payoffs in other seasons, and it's like, well, this was, I imagine, a very important aspect of Perrin's character and learning who he actually is and
Yes.
what he actually is, and they
Mhm.
just completely glossed over it in favor of Matt and Rand chopping wood and some barmaid asking whether or
Yeah.
not they take wood.
Yeah, and you're hitting on
That's me.
something that the way that I saw this was a direct impact of intersectional feminism on script writing, because you cannot have a man who mentors not just women, but mentors young boys. The only
Mm.
person who can ever
Yeah.
be in control is a woman.
Yeah.
And remember, intersectional feminism, men are either stupid or evil. And because they knew they could not get away with portraying Elias as stupid or evil, they just completely removed him. And what you end up with is exactly what Nick is talking about. They're just walking around in some damn field in what looks like South Dakota for an episode, and
Yeah.
nobody cares. Nobody cares. It was a complete waste of time.
Well, I mean, if the Shua fits in chat is, states it perfectly. Small character, but huge for Perrin. Like, you learn so
Yeah.
much about Perrin through Elias, and then later through the things you learn from Elias for Perrin, uh, you know, the effects of seeing a wolf brother in a state uh, that Elias describes later is
Yes.
that much more effect on you when you meet Boundless. Uh, so I'm gonna stop there. Don't want to ruin it, but yeah.
I
No,
have
I
some
mean,
bad news for you guys on
100%.
this because
Go ahead.
Rafe has talked about this and he's changing the story. The reason he adjusted the ending of the finale was because he said it, when you have a star like Rosamund Pike, you can't sideline her. You have to find things for her to do.
I
And
saw that. I saw that.
and
Yep.
yeah, so this is not going to get better, guys. Like, they're going to cut more
No.
characters
Oh yeah.
because he's sucking up to a star. And that's
Yeah.
not, you can't take a 14-book
Well,
series and change it because of an actress. She's
well,
great.
Well,
Um,
I'm pretty sure he's on record saying, isn't it, that the reason she's sealed off is because she doesn't have much to do in the Great Hunt, and they need to give her something to do.
That's right.
Is that yeah?
That's
It's
what he
like
said.
Oh
Yeah.
my
is
it's
it
god.
like she has
true?
plenty to do. Just follow the book. You stupid. Sorry.
So
Quiet.
so we're gonna end up with what 30% of every episode about Moiraine. I mean, listening to what Smith's album and lamenting and
Well,
what getting it on with Solange Sanche and their
yeah, there you go. Well, I
forbidden
was gonna.
forbidden love shack. I mean, like
It brings us good. I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask what. Excuse me. Oh, hold on. Excuse me for a second.
while you're busy dying, I am gonna get to this super chat. Wow, Mike, you got to work on that one. This is a $50 super chat. Another one from Lyle Hammock. This is let me pull something up for you on this one. Here we go. This one's for you, Lyle.
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
Thank you so much, Lyle. 50 US dollars. How are they going to do Matt going forward? I loved his rescue of the girls in Tear, but they can't make him the lovable rogue. God, I know. Going forward, or his role with the horn, so Perrin should have died instead of his fake wife, who would, and of course, it's cut off. Let me bounce.
I'm back. Sorry about that, guys.
It's okay. Look, I'm gonna finish. Let me just bounce back here. Sorry about butchering this. So Perrin should have died instead of his fake wife, who would at least. And it is cut off. I'm sorry about that.
Be used. Be used.
Be used. So I mean, I agree with this. I mean, the whole thing of the lovable rogue, and that's really where, when you look at the eye of the world, and Nick, what you're seeing in the origin of Matt is that adolescent boy who likes to push boundaries, and in current year, that would be a boy that would probably need to be ejected from school or put on medication instead of just understanding.
Hmm.
That's the immature masculine, and the immature masculine likes to test. And what you see with the character evolution of Matt is the development of him. He is a rogue archetype. It is straight up Joseph Campbell archetype. That's why books like this, that are fantasy series, appeal to all of us, and we love them because they contain archetypes that occur over and over throughout history, and we know people like that in our real life. Why shows like Wheel of Time fail is they want to strip that individuality and those unique archetypes out of Western civilization and Western
Yeah.
canon. You see it over and over and over again, and especially you're seeing it now with Marvel Phase 4, where they are stripping every male character out that has an archetype from the comic books, and it is being replaced with an overpowered Mary Sue. And these things are falling flat. They really are. Like, I'm opening it up to the group. What do you guys think about that statement? Am I being unfair, or is there some truth to that? And you can call me out. It's fine.
No, I actually totally agree with you, but I also think they're doing a great disservice to women as well, by including all these Mary Sues and overpowered female characters, and just plainly unlikable female characters, because
Yep.
they're not just destroying archetypes, they're also creating new archetypes, and these ones
Bingo.
aren't necessarily positive or
Exactly.
helpful to society.
Agreed.
You know, just look up, for instance, there's this marvelous website called TV Tropes, and you can just look up, strong female character in the search bar, and it'll come up with all these examples, and it's very satirical, but you just wonder if a lot of comic book writers, especially the mainstream comic book writers and TV show creators like on Amazon and Netflix and whatnot, you're wondering if they're using these new archetypes as blueprints when they're not meant to be blueprints. These things are meant to be taken the piss out of.
Zax, Mike, Prophet, what do you think about that?
I think I got a lot to say on this one, but it actually
Go
takes
ahead.
me out of the
Go
story, and
ahead.
I think it's condescending to women that they have to have their characters like this. And what they've done is there's a structure, especially for Wheel of Time. It's plain to see that anytime any of the male characters does anything with their own agency, it blows up in their face, and it always ends in tragedy. It never works
Yes.
out well for them. Starting with Matt going to get the dagger, like anytime they do something on their own without permission or being told how to do it by a female character, they
Oh,
can't do it.
100%.
And so
100%.
that tells you that, like, it removes any possible tension because you know what's going to happen depending on whose decision it was. And
Yep.
to take the comics example, Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Captain Do Better, watching that show and understanding the structure of how they're going to do this, that he can't make contact with Carly. He can't fight her really. So you're waiting until the end to see, well, who's the female who's going to stop her, because it can't be these two guys who are supposed to be the main characters. And
Right.
it's why even watch it? You know how it's going to end.
Yeah,
Well-
and you saw it. I mean, in the Samba real-time data, and it's going back a couple months now, but it's important to remember these things because we're going to be told how successful they were when they get multiple seasons, and yet no one is watching it. But I remember distinctly when they took Falcon's air quotes agency away from him and turned him into that was not Captain America. That was Captain Guilt Trip. And it's like, I don't understand. Like, superheroes are not there to teach us how to shame ourselves. Superheroes are there to help us aspire to something more. If I wanted to be shamed and mocked using intersectional feminism, I can drive down to the local college and wander into the women's center, wearing my wrestling shirt. I don't need to go to television
a
for it.
representation of hope.
Yes.
Yeah, and nowadays all you get is pure cynicism.
Yes.
And that's why, for instance, I've been watching the first season of Superman and Lois, right?
Yes.
And even though it's CW, and I'm sort of tentative about the second season because usually things take a dip after that. But I really do think like that season, the first season right there, is really encompassing what is good about writing and fantasy. It's this sense of hope that we need rather than cynicism.
Yes. Let me close this out. Lyle, thank you so much for that super chat. We love having you in these chats. You always have great comments. So go ahead. I mean, let's continue to talk about that with Superman. I mean, not to spend all evening on it, but how would you compare the messaging and the archetypes and the characters of the story of something like, and I hate to say it, a show on CW like Superman and Lois versus what we got from Wheel of Time? And anybody respond to that?
I think that on the CW, at least back when that show was airing, they had to be accountable to advertising dollars. And if people tuned off because they didn't like the message, they didn't like what was going on, that hurt the bottom line. Advertisers were looking at how many eyes on the screen. And when it was dipping down, well, they started looking someplace else to put their advertising dollars. So I think
Yeah.
that communication flowed both ways, and there was at least somebody at the tiller saying, "You must steer, or we must steer the show away from trouble."
Yeah.
When you have a streaming service that's beholden to nobody, well, they can do whatever they want, and there's nobody there to see how many eyes are on the screen. So I think that they probably had a less, I guess you'd say, identity politics driven show at that time than we would see today.
Zax, what do you think about that? Prophet?
I really like Superman and Lois. I've enjoyed it. I watch it with my son. It's one of the few things that we can watch where there's no bad dad trope or dumb dad trope.
That's
And
beautiful.
so-
That's
and
beautiful,
it's-
dude.
The thing is like watching a show like that. It's not the best show in the world, but it's like you've been starving and you come across a buffet. It's It's not the best food in the world, but there's a lot of it, and you're hungry, and there's nothing else out there. There's very few things
Yes.
out there that are like that right now. And so I will give it a 8 out of 10, even if maybe if it's a 6, just for not playing into those tropes. I've had enough of them.
So
Yeah, I
we're
haven't.
talking about Lois and Clark with Terry Hatcher. Is that what we're talking
No,
about?
I'm talking Superman and Lois with
Superman and Lois. Oh, that's a
yeah, on
recent one.
CW. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Lois
Yep.
and Clark was
Well, then
fine.
CW is actually going out of business. They're trying to sell their store. So
Trying to.
yeah.
I want to shout this one out. This is from United LS or United Ls. I'm going to go with United Ls. Hail to you. I haven't seen you in the chat before. I thanks for being here. Says, I'm glad I watched the show, even though it was terrible. Hearing how different the books are from your YouTube content made me want to read them. I'm halfway through book 1 and loving it. Thank you. Oh
Yeah,
my,
I'm totally
this
there
is
with them.
this is
I'm totally with them.
fantastic.
So that was wait for the applause.
Mhm.
I would. This is sort of the effect I was hoping that us talking about it and more people
Yes.
talking about it would have would be people hearing how much it's not representative of what the story actually is, and then picking up the book and
Yes.
seeing what a great story it really is. My son is also doing the same. He sat down and watched the series with me and decided to pick up the book and see whether his dad was crazy or whether his dad really knew what a good story was like. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second week in a row we've had someone in chat, and I'm sorry I'm behind, guys. I'm doing triple duty. Has said the same thing, and that's what it's all about. So many pieces of entertainment right now. Anything maybe made within the last 4 years that's an adaptation. I would really say go take a look at what the original book was. You can, if Kindle's your thing, you can always get a sample and check it out. But in the case of The Eye of the World, I can't recommend it enough. I can't. And you will not be disappointed. The second book is like, and I said it last week, it is when the rocket to the moon starts. It's a great story. So hail to you, United Ls. But yeah, Nick, I mean, you coming on and you reaching out to me about your experience watching the show and then hearing the book. You had made some very satirical videos that I thought were really funny, and then I accused you of being British and instead of Australian, which I will own for the rest of my life. But thank you, mea culpa. Thank you for putting up with me on that. What is your perspective on, well, let me ask you this. Who is your favorite character in the books? Since you're reading it for the first time, you're not quite through. Who really stands out to you in the books?
That's actually a very interesting question. I actually like Moraine. I actually like the back and forth that she has with Lan. And oddly enough, I mean, I know people find her a bit annoying, but I do kind of like Nynaeve in the book because her what do you call it? Her goal is pretty well established right from the off. She may be a bit abrasive, but it's all from love. She just wants to get her, Nynaeve, Rand, sorry, not Nynaeve, sorry, Egwene, Rand, Matt, and Perrin back to Two Rivers for safety. She doesn't want them wandering off with some Aes Sedai who might just be a dark friend. So her motives are pure in the book, and I get that, and and it's sort of after that she gets dragged along out of necessity. Yeah. So yeah, I like Moraine, I like Lan, and I like the book Nynaeve.
That's fascinating. And I'm going to hop on this super chat real quick. This one comes to us from my wolf brother, Al Dan, with a $20 Australian super chat. Now, there we go. Thanks for the boomer. Thank you. We'll be here all night. Don't worry. And I've got something for you. Here you go, Al Dan.
And you have my bow.
And my axe.
Hail to you, Al Dan. He says, after just finishing a reread of book 1, it's just not an adaptation. It's not the same story at all. All the subtle things. Perrin leading the charge through the blight lands on, this is it, lands understanding of the boys, the prophecies.
Yeah.
Nuts. 100%. Hail to you, L. Dan. 100%. Thank you so much for being in the chat and being my wolf brother. That actually, with what you were talking about, Nick, and now also what Al Dan was saying, is I need an engineer. I really do. I got too many things open. Here we go. So that actually will take us back to the article, and it actually, what you were just saying about Nynaeve and Lan is something, of course, it jumped on me. What this article does is celebrate the very things that you said you did not like. And I don't know where this thing went. Okay. Well, I'm boomering the hell out of this. Let me get back.
It's the website. The website is terrible. Like
it jumped on me. It totally did.
Yeah.
Here we go.
This is part of our charm, guys. Come on. It's all good.
Well, I also
edit this part out. Edit this part out.
I got ad blockers on this thing and it's still going crazy. So here we go. So they're saying that the show was an improvement on Lan and Nynaeve's relationship because it makes more sense. And listen to this article. I agree. So this is what this shill or this writer from winteriscoming.net says. Robert Jordan has many gifts as a writer: dense world building, meticulous planning, impressive patience. But one of the things he was less good at writing was convincing romances.
As opposed to the insta love that they pretty much had.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem I had with this whole comment was, I mean, I feel like their relationship needs room to breathe, and it's fine by where it gets, at the end of the books. But they go from like some, little bit like, oh, it's a little bit, they didn't have much interaction in this point. Why did they fall in love so fast? To all of a sudden they're sleeping together, and we complete 360 to it's a little bit quick to we're in love, we're married, we're sleeping together. It's crazy. And
I mean, we talked about it last week too. I mean, and it's a complete deconstruction and modernization of Nynaeve's character. Nynaeve was very proper. She was very self-conscious. She did love Rand very, very deep, or not Rand. She did love Lan very, very deeply. But I'm rereading the series and I'm on book 7, and she still doesn't want anybody to see her, even in a nice shirt. I mean, she is so prim and proper, and the last thing she would ever do would be this hookup queen, who gets it on with Lan, and then the morning after says, "My career has an Aes Sedai is too important to me." Mike, Zax, what do you guys think about that?
It's almost like there was a time period in our history where people behaved this way, and they're trying to modernize it. Yeah, they're trying to modernize the story. Yeah, exactly. So, go back 100 years, go back 200 years. How did people behave? How did relationships build? What did people
50
wear?
years ago? You go back 50 years ago.
But I'm just saying, let's just delete, any ambiguity. Let's go back 200 years. How would this have gone, right? So they just want to modernize it. They cannot conceive of a relationship that there was courting and there was maybe marriage first, and they just can't conceive of that. It's insulting to them
because it's just such a slow. They've taken all the development, all the things that I mean, I mean, they've destroyed land to do it too in the show because I mean, all the things that Nynaeve has to do to get through that wall that Lan has built up is part of what makes you buy into their relationship, and that takes time. And they just decided to say, well, we need this relationship to be done by the end of the first season, so let's throw all that out and just let's hook them up. Let's go. Let's do it. So yeah, it's just a shame.
Well, this show doesn't write romance at all. There's no romance in any of this. You've got a married couple, you've got a dysfunctional soap opera relationship, you've got a relationship where somebody whose sexuality we don't really know kills his wife, air quotes, by accident. And then we've got Nynaeve hooking up with Lan and just dumping him. And all of these are the types of things that you would see in Sex and the City, not in a fantasy
Or
novel
Riverdale.
with not involving people from a small village who had a very traditional lifestyle and had very traditional values. And I don't care if they would be 16 years old or if they would be in their early 20s, they still would have those same values. And that's why I believe things like this are social engineering. Again, and we've talked about it, they're erasing the archetypes that we all know and they're putting something else in place. Is that fair, or am I
Yes,
going
zero
to bail
people
out?
on the writing staff would wait more than 6 hours to hook up with somebody they liked.
Yeah, I
Zero
think
of
that's
them.
probably about right.
The
Agreed.
thing is, they're not even answering the question of, for instance, let's just use Rand and Egwene, for instance. They don't even answer the question of why they're even attracted to one another. They're just sort of thrown together on the first episode. And then when Egwene finally dumps Rand, and it's
Yeah.
like, she made it
Oh.
very I've said this in one of my videos, that she's made it very clear that she wants her job more than she wants him. And then when finally that's snatched out of her hands, it's like, oh, what do you know? I actually do love Rand. Take me back.
I'll find you.
I'm rolling my eyes so hard right now.
I'll find you, Dragon Cuck. I'll find you. Don't worry. I mean,
It's like
good
medieval
Lord.
Tinder.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
so
my
bad.
God. Well, it's probably going to turn into medieval grinder based upon
Yeah.
what we're seeing. Sorry, I had to do it. It was the low
You
hanging
know
fruit.
it's coming.
Yeah, and like AKA Chris says, I stopped at the episode 6 at the romance, and that's something in this article that that too they celebrate, which is it,
I still
let's
want them
see,
to
let me-
explain how Lan teleported to get behind her in that episode from the room where she was spying on him to
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
the incredible teleporting Lan. It's like, come on, give me a break. It's like they don't understand who they're. That's the thing that drives me crazy too. Is like, do you not, like, you've said you're fans of this book series? But clearly you're not. Do you know who
They're
you're
not.
dealing with? I mean, you think that Game of Thrones people are theory crafters and all that. You haven't dealt with that until Wheel of Time is like, I've spent, I don't, countless years of my life when these books were not done, just crafting theories about what was going to happen. And if you don't think people that are fans of this series are going to think about those details, then you don't know your audience at all.
Well, you remember, and we covered it around the new year, where Rafe Judkins was on a website, and Mike, I forget which one it is, Dragon Mount. And he said that the show was not made for those people who had read the series and loved it. And it was not made for people who, what was it, hadn't seen a fan, what was it?
Yeah, it wasn't made. Right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it
Mike,
wasn't
keep it.
made for people that are into fantasy, and it wasn't made for people that read the books.
Okay,
It
so
was
that's
made for
very
people
clear.
who.
That's
So
it's
who's it
very
made
clear
for?
that he doesn't know who the hell his audience is.
Yeah.
And that's a big red flag.
It's for the what am I going to watch next browser. That's what
Yeah,
it's
it's
for.
content.
That's not good.
Which is
Yeah.
crazy. It's
But
crazy.
it's the same thing they're talking about with the Lord of the Rings. Their
Hmm.
head of marketing has said over and over, the Lord of the Rings has to appeal to a large global audience. Now,
No, it
what they
doesn't.
think
Which it
of,
already
what they,
does.
I
Yeah, it
agree
already
with
does.
you. I mean, that book has been, what was it, 160 million copies of Tolkien's books in over 50 languages. This book has been out since what, I think The Hobbit came out in the early 30s. This book has been out for 100 years. It has significantly more fans than Robert Jordan. In fact, Robert Jordan was a huge fan of Tolkien's works
Mhm.
and wrote The Wheel of Time as an homage to the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. And now we've got these executives, air quote, who think that in order to make a property like Wheel of Time accessible to the masses, they have to turn it into something it's not. And I think, like we've all talked about, and are expressed our concern, the Lord of the Rings is going to be even more dialed up as far as air quotes accessibility, because for them it would seem that the only way that they can get a global audience is to have everybody see themselves physically in this show, physically.
Well,
Not
and
that
that
they appeal to everyone around the planet because they're
Actually,
using the archetypes of the characters we all know and love.
I actually remembered this thing just now. Uh, Speaking of representation and modern writers and adaptations and all that sort of stuff, it just reminded me of that episode in season 8 of Game of Thrones,
Mm.
and
try to
you
forget them
just
all.
yeah, I mean, really, you just want to forget the whole thing. But there is one particular scene in Winterfell where there's a little girl at a stall or something, and Sansa is there, and I don't know, just a little exchange between them made me think, hang on a minute, have the writers completely forgotten who their audience is? This little, feminist message of, oh, girls can do anything.
Mhm.
It's like, they definitely forgot who their audience was
Well,
in that
girls
moment.
can no one ever said girls couldn't do anything, and
Yeah,
if
no
they
one ever
did,
said
it
they
wasn't in
couldn't.
it wasn't in my lifetime. And that's the thing. I mean, I'm going to be 52 in a month or two. And was there back and forth? Was there people saying, "Oh, well, girls can't do that." Yeah, there was. And you know what the girls did? They went up and they socked you right in the mouth, and they did
Yeah,
it
look at
better than the
Arya.
guy who was talking off. I mean, that's the thing, man. I mean, I all of this stuff is no this is not the 19th century. We are not talking about Victorian era sensibilities. And there's this need to generate this outrage over perceived, I don't know what it is. Like they need to fabricate all of these boogeymen and talk about how Western civilization is so limiting to women. And all of our entertainment, it's just about taking away from anyone who is not a woman, and you keep seeing it over and over and over. I'm all for having strong female characters. We have had strong female characters in cinema since the silent movies occurred. They have
Cinnamon too.
always been there.
Cinnamon also strong
Well,
female in cinnamon.
thank you very much. I'm gonna
Well,
find
I
where
mean
you are
that's
and go ahead.
I think that's the worst part about what's going on, at least with not to go off too much with the Wheel of Time stuff. Not the worst part, but there's obviously a stack. But I was actually I shouldn't say very surprised. I was surprised at how many. I mean, they're out there, but how many females and women aren't pissed off at the treatment of the women in at least the main character women in the Wheel of Time, because um, they've been made. They do all these things, and of course, I'm not gonna spoil, because we got a lot of new book readers. It sounds like in the chat, and of course, yourself, Nick. But all the things that are accomplished by all these women characters, especially Nynaeve and Egwene, are now sort of given an asterisk because they've been made Taviran and made special, and all the things that they did without that leg up that made them strong and whatever they were in the
Exactly.
book, they now have a special advantage like the boys do. So instead of just using their natural gifts to get one up in certain situations. Well, now the pattern's helping them out, and it's they've been given a crutch. And
Women need the
I'm
journey too.
Well, that's Deus Ex Machina, isn't it?
it just surprises me that you know, that more women aren't pissed off, that it's just like, well, they don't need that the guys needed it to, not, to accomplish some of the things they did. The girls did it without it. They don't need it. Why are you
That's
doing
the
that?
whole thing. That's the whole thing. Is in the books, the women actually earn their power. They suffer. They are taken captive. They are, oh boy, what can I say? They are tortured by certain
Yeah.
other nations in the books. They have they are on their own, unsupported, while things fall apart in
Overcoming
where they got
PTSD.
trained. Yes. And to turn them into this, where their hero's journey is just, well, we can't make them have any vulnerabilities, which would then start them on the hero's journey of learning how to grow. We just have to make them overpowered in the beginning. Then like other people have said, and people are saying in the chat, this is not the Wheel of Time. There's no story. There's none.
Well-
It's this flat line. It's beige.
I'm going to jump in and make it worse for a second here, because what's a Deviran and what's the pattern? If you just watch the show, you wouldn't even know that, right? You'd have to ask somebody who's read the books.
Yeah, but there's a
know that.
rumor there's 4 of them in the 2 rivers. It's like, why the hell are 2 in the 2 rivers? That's pretty important. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Nobody know. Yeah, my son looked at me. He's like, what's a Taviran? I'm like, here we go. This is exactly how we want to start.
Yeah.
And then never explaining it.
Yeah, I mean, in the Taveran, being, let's just say the boys, I'll just say that. And again, I'm going to harp on this. Egwene, Nynaeve, going to the tower, all of the things that they go through, the betrayals, them being set up by someone to go out and literally try to save the world on their own, going into cities and states in civil war while being pursued by truly horrifying enemies. It's, I mean, it's baffling.
You're denying the people reading the female characters from their journey. You're starting them at level 100. You need, the boys get to start at 1, and you follow their journey as they level up, so to speak. The women don't. They start at 100. So there's no journey to follow their character. You don't get to grow with them.
On the show. Yeah.
On the show, you
As
don't
opposed
get
to
to grow
the
with them.
books.
Yeah, the
as
book's
opposed
quite
to the
opposite.
books.
Yeah, as opposed to the books, and that's what we're talking about, is the contrast here.
Yep.
When you make that the Mary Sue character, well, they're already awesome. And I mean, one of the greatest story arcs I've ever read was Egwene, hands down, absolutely amazing story arc. Nynaeve, second,
yes.
And so instead of letting you guys, the show watcher, learn as they learn, suffer as they suffer, grow as they grow over multiple seasons to arrive at a point where that character is where they are now in the story, where Nynaeve is absolutely badass, and Egwene sets her down a couple times and says, I'm in charge, not you. And you're going, whoa, how did this character growth happen? This is amazing. You don't get to have that. It's been denied you. It's been denied you.
Without suffering, there's no catharsis. There's no satisfaction. And it just reminded me too, correct me if I'm wrong, but Moraine and how she was able to learn how to touch the one power, can someone correct me if I'm wrong? Wasn't that meant to be Nynaeve's origin as well?
So, what like in terms of what? Because I saw you in chat saying that she has a block, but see that's one of my biggest problems with what's going on, what they did with Nynaeve in the show, and the healing bubble was there were plenty of ways to show that she's been channeling all along. From they even went as far as to mess up the Brokeback Fever story. That's Nynaeve's story, not Egwene's story, because Nynaeve was healing her with the one power through her herbs. So she basically her use of herbs as a crutch to heal, and then of course the anger that she's built up, because anger and using herbs basically is a crutch for her, because she was angry enough to because she was so angry she couldn't heal or fix somebody, that it sort of took on a life of its own, and she used the power to heal them. So she develops the block. I don't know. I think you're talking about whatever. I guess is it? I don't know if that's Ishmael or not. I don't know who the hell that was at the end. You mean the shilling? I'm assuming it's just a shilling.
No, there's a bit of dialogue where Moraine indicates that she had a backstory where she talked about how she was a bit beaten and abused by somebody to help break her block or whatever. But
okay, so maybe they did. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I think that I don't remember Moraine ever having that issue. I think that's made up for the story.
Nope. That
She didn't. She didn't.
Exist.
No.
Yeah.
She's royalty, Carherian royalty. Yeah, she didn't have a block.
Let me get to this super chat from Lyle Hammock, who's on fire tonight. There we go. And I'm going to pick something out. What haven't we done yet? Here we go.
You travel light. Let's hunt some orc.
Boy, I want to hunt some orc.
Damn, I want to watch that movie again.
I was watching it today because I needed a little pick-me-up. Just one of those things, you know how it is, real life and work and all that. And it's like, I'm going to put the Lord of the Rings on and just kind of get in the zone. I think and I don't want to go too far down this road. I think that's why I am making the Lord of the Rings videos that I have been, is because we see how someone who stays true to the source material can make something that it wasn't just a good movie for people in America or North America, people all over the world of all different shapes and sizes and ethnicities and religions and belief systems all love what Peter Jackson did with Tolkien. And what did he do? He told Tolkien's story. Let me get to the super chat. Hail to you again. Lyle Hammock says, intersectional feminism is going to ruin, well, look where we are. Lord of the Rings, Isildur's sister, is going to be the bestest ever and superior to him in every way. And she is going to lead him around and teach him, not his father, Elendil. It's true. Not only that, but I was reading something, and I don't know if it's true, that oh boy, see, now we're starting to get into the lore of the Silmarillion, and the 5th book of the Silmarillion, which is of course the name. Zach, keep me honest. Do you remember the name of that book? Anyway, there is a king that do I have that open? No, I don't. The king of Numenor is going to be subservient to his sister. There's a rumor out there. He's not going to be the actual king. He's going to be more like what we saw. And I pointed this out in one of our live streams a couple of weeks ago with what was going on with Egilmar and his sister. That if you read the official description in the X-ray stuff on Amazon's website, Egilmar was not in charge of his own city. It was actually his sister. And
the failure.
The failure.
Yes. The failure.
So yeah,
I did not get that impression,
dude. So that's what we can expect from Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power. Is every opportunity for what Lyle was talking about, that intersectional feminism. They're going to do it not because it's what Tolkien said, not because it makes a more interesting story, but because my agenda, my narrative, my intersectional feminism, my identity politics, and my neo-Marxism. Hail to you.
But hold on a second, though. What if they can get Daisy Ridley for that role? You think they can? Then it's fine, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You know, I covered a rumor she was going into the MCU, and after everything we've seen and what they're going to do in Thor 4, does anybody have any doubt? Does
Nope.
anybody have any doubt at all?
It's
Oh,
crazy. It's just crazy. I don't get it. Well, I mean, it's clear it's not about money. It's about the message because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it was on the last stream I was on with you guys is you have a built-in audience that wants to give you money. I mean,
mhm.
like I would have bought 50 like I'd have a dragon banner. I'd have a
Oh
good
yeah.
Heron Mark blade. I'd have a Horn of Valier. I'd have all this stuff. I have 2 Lord of the Rings swords. I have,
Mm-hmm.
I have all this stuff because I love this stuff. And it's like we want this to be good to give you our money and you're not letting us. And it makes it very clear very quickly that it's not about money. It's about just corrupting it and changing it into a message of some sort.
Well, and women hate
Yeah, I
Chris
mean,
Hemsworth, right? They don't want to go see him or Jason Momoa in movies. They definitely don't want that, right?
No,
or
they're
Tom
they're
Hiddleston.
ugly. Yeah, they're ugly
They,
people. So
yeah,
very
they want to
unattractive.
see somebody like Tom Hiddleston be shamed and turned into a cuck, just like they want Chris Evans to be. Just, I mean, all of this is just insanity. We have been asking this question for 6 years now. Who are they making this for? They told us now with the Wheel of Time. They're not making it for people who love the source material, who love the books, and who love the characters. They're making it for people who don't even know what the hell this is about. And there is a piece of content. It's like a button on a vending machine. Out pops this artificially flavored, genetically modified crap, and they're just going to consume it. And that's what's happening to our
Yeah.
entertainment too.
Well
Hold on
said.
a second. Jaden Hamilton, I think you just got timed out by accident. So please stick around.
Are you nuking cool people in our chat? So
Yes.
Oh my
I
god.
didn't nuke
think-
anybody. But
Yeah,
Power, power corrupts.
well, just for that, I'm gonna put them on
Looks-
screen. And
looks
this,
like
this
it actually was scrolled from one of those spam things,
oh,
and then it scrolled the next button and got him.
we got
So he's
blue on
not-
blue. We got blue on
Mhm.
blue fatality.
Oh yeah.
So this is
well that
Jaden
speaking
Hamilton.
oh sorry. I'll read that because I don't want to lose my.
Yeah, no, this is Jaden Hamilton who accidentally got nuked. You'll be back. I hate the bad dad trope. It's so overused, especially today. And where did we see it? We saw it in those same episodes that Wheel of Time did involving that Rafe's boyfriend, the warder, where he was drunk talking about what a horrible father he had.
Yeah.
Now, let's remind ourselves this character was never articulated in the books. Those scenes never occurred in the eye of the world. And that story was purely fabricated for my agenda reasons. Go ahead,
Well,
Steve.
well, yeah, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, go ahead,
I
man.
think it was something I saw. I think again on obviously I'm frequenting the White Cloaks subreddit too much, but somebody brought up something that actually hit home for me that I didn't even think about because he was barely in the show at all. But you get more time with Suan and her father than you get with Tam and Rand.
I read
and
that
their
too.
relationship, and
100%.
it's a tragedy. It really is, and just that whole opening scene for me was like I think the biggest flaw, not the opening, but I think him dragging Tam through the forest. That whole scene being lost to me was just it was huge for me, and
Absolutely.
it's pretty much just bottles Rand up and his motivations for the first the whole book, and just his that he's just not gonna leave anybody behind, and then on top of that, just the love of his father, whether it's his father or not,
Yes.
and just abandoning that because and then just thinking that we're gonna show a flashback after the
Yeah, that was
Dr.
completely
Machin Chin has
unsatisfying.
told him that he's the dragon. Psychiatrist Machin Chin is like, hey, it's okay, you're the dragon. Let's now have a 2-second flashback. It's like, no, that's not okay. That's not how this works.
And Nick, you're reading the book Eye of the World for the first time. That scene that Steve is talking about, what was your impression of that after the Trollocs attacked their isolated farm?
Well, by that point, I think we all sort of knew that Rand would be the Dragon Reborn. But in the show, I mean, this is something that is meant to weigh heavily on Rand's mind. But because it wasn't included in episode 1, it was like, how do I explain this? Yeah, it was meant to weigh on his mind. It was meant to inform his
Yes.
decisions throughout the series. But they tacked it on in episode, what was it, episode 7? I think episode 7. You know what? Who cares
I
at this
think it was,
stage?
yeah, it was 7. It was when he, right before he
Yeah, well,
goes to
yeah,
the
that's
room,
right.
says,
When he
"I'm the
realized,
dragon."
yeah, and it's like, no, that should have been the first thing.
But it was intersectional feminism, because the
Yeah,
show couldn't focus on the fact that it was a man, a boy, a young man who was the Dragon Reborn. They had to make all of the characters be equal, and you got to have equity. And there you go. And what do we get? We get mediocre storytelling.
it's really playing unfair, with the audience. I mean, it's one thing that, for instance, I learned about, for instance, writing mystery novels,
Mhm.
is that in order for a mystery to be truly satisfying to the audience, the writer has to play fair. And by
Yes.
playing fair, they drop clues all throughout the story until the big reveal at the end. But
Mhm.
this was the first clue to Rand being the Dragon Reborn, and they completely glossed over it. In order,
Intentionally.
yeah, intentionally, in order to prop up bloody Egwene and Nynaeve.
Exactly.
right.
Let me get to this super chat real quick. Hail to you, Al Dan, my wolf brother. $10 Australian. He says, maybe hopeful the fact that the book sales have exploded will make Amazon rein in the ideology creep. I don't know, but if they are smart, they will know they need to do this. I'm going to give you, what can I give you? What haven't I done
I
yet?
did hear that
Here,
it was back
hold
on the
on.
top 10.
Hail to you, my wolf brother, Al Dan. Thank you so much for that $10 Australian. I'll be sure and give Nick McCabe some of that Aussie green stuff. So hail to you. Go ahead. Sorry, Prophet.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I had heard the book is on the New York, I don't know if it's the New York Times bestseller list, top 10 again, but I know it's Eye of the World sales has just like boomed.
Good.
Yeah, that's
And I'm wondering if
that's the
Amazon might be
effect
a
I
little
was
bit
hoping.
nervous over that, because book sales don't necessarily mean bums in seats watching their show.
Exactly. I think a
But
lot of
Amazon
people
wins
wanted
anyway.
to. Yeah, if they order it from them. But I think a lot of people have seen a lot of videos being critical of the show. And I think,
And more are
there's.
coming out. That's what I've noticed.
Yes,
I've
I've
noticed
noticed
it
that too.
There was a new guy, and I actually reached out to him. I don't remember his name, but he's got probably 400 subscribers. He had just saw the show and was in the middle of reading the book too, and decided to make videos. And it's the same stuff a lot of us are saying, but he kept saying the same thing. Read the books. This is not Robert Jordan's story. This isn't even close. So I can't recommend it enough. If you have a Kindle, I think it's actually on sale right now at Amazon, the ebook for $3 or $2 to read The Eye of the World. Go check that out.
Yeah.
Of course, if not that, then go support your small independent local bookstores. Jeff Bezos doesn't need any more of your damn money.
And if you get the audiobook, get the Kate Redding and Michael Kramer audiobook.
Oh yeah,
Do not get the
one,
Rosamund
I've got
Pike
that
one.
one. It's awesome.
They're so good. Don't get the Rosamund Pike one. Get the get the Kate Redding and Michael Kramer one. They're so good.
Exactly.
There's also the Chuck Dixon adaptation in the comics as well out there.
Yes.
Okay.
If you like pictures like me.
But it's fun. Just we were talking about the Dragon Reborn thing. I'm pretty sure that's on that list you had up was that the Dragon Reborn stuff was done better in the show according to Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Winter is coming.
Yeah. And Son of
Ooh.
Jockster raises a good point. This isn't just a sausage party perspective. This isn't just guys saying this. There are numerous women, and I have seen them talking about how uninterested they were in Amazon's adaptation. There's one YouTuber who's actually quite big, and we're not going to say her name, that both Mike and I reached out independently to try and come and talk with us about it. She literally flatly said, I have no interest in ever talking about the show ever again. It literally, because she said she has better things to do with her life, because she watched a little bit of the first episode and she tuned out. She's like, I'm not watching this. So this is not just some, misogynistic dinosaur opinion. It's just
Well, that's
not a
what I
good
figured.
show.
I figured that we would have a lot more of that too. So it's good to see that it's coming out, because I think the women have more right to be mad. I mean, because there's, well, I don't know about more right, equal right to be mad, because those characters aren't being done any favors either.
Yeah, I can't get my daughter to finish the series at all. The television show. I think she got to episode 5, maybe 6, and I ask her every once in a while, "Have you finished it yet?" Nope. And when she gets to a certain tone in her voice, I know, don't ask again. She's not going to do it. She's done.
And your daughter's, she's college
16.
age or high school age?
16.
Yeah.
16.
So this is who the show is theoretically being made for. Is a young woman in her teens that they're trying to push these agenda things on. And they don't want it. They don't.
Mhm.
So then who is this show made for?
Kids hate that shit. They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, from my experience, they're not into this at all. They hate the agenda stuff. Just like we didn't do what our parents told us to do either. Like, it's the same attitude. Nothing's changed.
I think you're right. I remember I was standing outside of a movie theater, and this is a little while ago because I went to go see A Quiet Place 2 because I dig those movies. But I asked these kids, and I had just started doing the YouTube thing, and not very well. But I asked this group of teenagers in small town America, "Hey, that movie Black Widow's coming out. Do you guys interested in it?" And there were about 8 of them, half guys, half girls, and they're like, "Why would we watch her movie? She's dead." And it's like, they're not giving that generation enough credit. They're really not. And they can talk down to them and preach at them all they want. But just like Zach said, they have that same double FU to someone coming and trying to like convince them of something that isn't true.
Yeah, my son's 15 and he's the same way. He just started reading it, and yeah, he did not get enough credit. There's a lot of smart kids out there that aren't just, consume.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a bit of an exaggeration there, Zach. I'm not pumping out 12 videos a day.
Well, it's about 8. He's doing about 8 in 4K.
Where do you find time?
Let me get to this super chat by Lyle Hammock. This is a $5 super chat.
Oh. Come on, get on the ball. Get on the ball, Mike. Come on. Jesus.
I'm going to give this one. I don't know if I've done this one. There we go. Thank you so much for that $5 super chat, Lyle. Says, modern dialogue is so vapid and empty. Also, why do modern writers think having a character cry every 2 minutes makes them enduring? It's just cringe. Yeah. I think it's
Do they ever
neurotic.
stop crying?
Well, I think it's neurotic started saying it a couple of years ago, and it's true. Everything is about feelings, people sitting and talking about feelings, people in hallways talking about feelings. And that's what we're getting, is it's all just this feelings. And instead of doing something and building a character, they're just talking about feelings and they're crying. And it's like, where that works? That works in therapy and that works in soap operas. Where it doesn't work is in fantasy or superhero things. And unfortunately, I think we're going to be getting a lot more of that. Steve, Mike, Zach, Nick, tell me what you think about that. Perrin crying all the time.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, there's.
I
I think you summed it up not quite nicely.
Well, I think maybe next to the waste of time counter on these videos I'm going to plan on crafting, which hopefully I get to, I'm going to have a amount of time crying counter, because that's all they spend half the time crying while wasting time.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
for
much.
one, I for one love them. I want to give Piran a big hug and a kiss on the cheek.
Be
I'm going to
careful, be
try.
careful.
Yeah, I'm
I don't
gonna
know. He
put a
may think you're
Piran.
dancing on him.
No, I well,
Oh,
that's the
there's
idea,
a
and I'm gonna put a big poster on my bedroom wall above my bed. Yeah, no, I love this. I think this is the Piran that we all
This-
should have. This is what we deserve. This
the
is, yes, the best
pinnacle of
Piran possible. Yes.
masculinity, virility, wolf
Yep.
yeah.
energy. Yeah,
Yep.
100%. Lyle, thank you
Absolutely.
so much for that super chat. Thank you very much. And I'm going to jump on this one real quick because it's true. And this is M Bloodseeker says large global audience equals lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
When has that been successful? Show me in what movie or series or television show where that has been successful. Honestly, I literally, it's thank you.
There's
So
a
let's
saying,
keep
isn't it?
doing it.
It's something for everyone, but nothing for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
a
Well, we
weird.
used
It's a
to.
weird saying.
We had no, but we had
No.
those archetypes, and those archetypes did connect us across languages and cultures and political systems. Everyone knows the same archetypes that Joseph Campbell talked about. You can go, and they're in African tribal stories, they are in South American stories, they are in stories in Asia, in Europe, and in North America. You can recognize them when you start deliberately destroying them to, for some reason, no one can associate with them. And all you're
So
doing is creating discordance.
it's not called the hero's emotional journey? No?
No. Yeah. Well.
Uh,
Yeah.
It's not the emotionally stunted pronoun daily changing, not like beige wall with a beige sofa on antidepressants. It has to do with individual growth, and that takes work, and it requires loss, and that means there's real stakes. When there are real stakes, that's when the hero's journey is effective. There were
Yeah.
no stakes in Wheel of Time. No one was ever at any risk. Even when Perrin was bound up like the Gimp, nothing was going to happen to him. I mean, it's
No.
crazy.
Dude,
Am I
I think
wrong?
the white cloaks would have cut through those tinkers. They just would have
In a
mowed them down.
second. In a
True.
second.
Just would have cut them into pieces, and it's just like your little. I mean, now I forget about that moment until you just said it. It's like you can link your arms all you want; they will ride you down, and they'll just cut you to
Mhm.
pieces and call you dark friends, and then that's what
Well,
they're fine
it's
with it.
But what if you cry?
It's-
though? What if you cry?
It's-
Well, then you're
it's
manipulative dark friend.
but you can see how this is these creatives are fetishizing, from my perspective, because I'm an American, I'm a Yank, they're fetishizing events from the 50s and 60s involving civil rights.
Yes.
And a lot of these
absolutely.
people probably learned a political dogma to those events instead of understanding those events as they occurred in relationship to the rest of everything else that was going on in the world at that time. No one is excusing it, but I'm saying the entire world was in that place. In some parts of the world, those types of injustices are still occurring. But to sit there and to think that it was only because it happened in a capitalist society, it was only because it happened in America, that is incorrect and that's wrong. And in a lot of places in Western civilization, we have moved beyond that. And notice I said the words in Western civilization. We have moved beyond that. But for whatever reason, they need to fetishize it and put it into these entertainment products, not to serve as entertainment, but to sit there and to hit themselves with a whip and the rest of us to remind us of something that happened either before a lot of us were born or that we already knew was wrong. And that's the part I don't understand is what value are they getting out of this? Because I don't see any at all. I mean, Guys, am I wrong? Am I going down the wrong way? Allie, what do
I'm
you
not.
think?
I don't. Yeah, I'm not smart enough, but I don't see any value in it. No, you're not making money, and you're. I don't know you're winning any hearts and minds of anybody that's not already, you know, of that thinking.
Yep. Yeah,
So I don't.
you're
I
not
don't.
converting. You're not converting
Yeah,
anybody.
you're just producing crap for your own echo chamber,
Yeah.
and it's. I don't see it like a show like this, or like what Lord of the Rings is eventually going to be, or Dexter, what that debacle was. It's not you know gaining anybody to your cause, because it's just making it look stupid.
Which
And
streaming
it's a
service? Which streaming service you think is the most guilty of this?
Netflix.
Netflix.
I don't know. That's a tough one. Amazon's
I think
getting pretty
Amazon.
bad.
I was going to say they'll leap into the lead because I think we've
Well,
seen what Netflix has done with cuties and other things like that. And
yeah,
look at their subscriber drops in the last 48 hours. I do think, though, when you spend $1 billion to make a television show, that the entire world is loved for almost, based upon stories by an author people have loved for almost 100 years.
yes,
And then do what they did to Wheel to Tolkien, even
yeah.
though it is the the Silmarillion,
It
even
doesn't
though it is
matter.
that and not the Hobbit, people are still they're going to react like in the ways we saw to Wheel of Time times 1,000. And I
Well,
know people want. Go ahead.
Oh yeah.
anybody that thinks they're not gonna follow this Silmarillion. And to be fair, I'm far from a Lord of the Rings expert. I've read the books in like once or twice, and of course the movies. But it's not. Who knows if there'll even be a guideline? I mean, they've taken the Lord of the Rings and said, I want my Game of Thrones, and let's get have all these multicolored and you know gay hobbits, gay elves. It doesn't matter. They're gonna say. I think that's what the Wheel of Time has proved. They're gonna say they're gonna adapt it. The show's gonna come out, and everybody's gonna call it out and say this isn't an adaptation of anything. And then they go, well, actually, you're right. It's a retelling. And it's like, well, that's not what the built-in, like, you have a built-in audience of millions and millions of
Yes,
millions. Like,
It was a flat out
you don't
lie.
want to
They
retell,
just
right?
lied to
exactly.
they lied
And
to you.
that's what this Lord of the Rings thing is going to be. Is I didn't expect the title to be the Rings of Power. I thought we were going like, I didn't know what I was expecting. But if anybody at this point that has been burned by Wheel of Time, like most of the people here, thinks that they're going to adapt to anything for the Lord of the Rings, you're fooling yourself. They're not
Yeah,
going to adapt anything.
two of my favorite intellectual properties are now on the table in front of the Amazon committee to be approved. The new
Oh
Stargate,
God.
some kind of a new Stargate franchise, and me and Corey were talking about earlier. Also, Larry Niven's Ringworld. Both have been talked about being made for a while now. They had to wait
Mhm.
for the MGM acquisition to conclude,
Yep.
and I am, of course, very sad about that because I would rather it be made by almost anyone else. And I wanted to mention something. Netflix, for all its faults, right? So, we have the He-Man, right? The He-Man cartoon that they redid. And we were told, no, it's all about He-Man. He-Man's the hero. Don't worry about it. It's all fine. And again, it's the same thing that Rafe Judkins told us about Wheel of Time.
Yep.
Oh, it's not as different as you might think. Rand is the dragon. Don't worry about it, everybody. And then we've just been lied to. So when Kevin Smith was getting all this backlash, he goes to Amazon, or I'm sorry, he goes to Netflix and he says, hey, everybody's being really mean to me. Should I worry about this? Because the ratings are really bad and everyone's online saying that how it's a big bait and switch. And the Netflix executives told him, don't worry about it. We make so much money that you can just keep going. Don't you even change a thing.
Yeah,
And
that
that's
might have
because, of
hurt him
course,
too.
yeah, it was an animated show, which isn't that expensive when you consider what is it, The Eternals that was canceled? Or no, it's Cowboy Bebop. So
Yeah,
Cowboy
Mhm.
Cowboy
Bebop,
Bebop.
which
Oh yeah.
which is a much bigger budget, is canceled after one season. So you know that there's money at play there. They're willing to take some risks with one thing and push an agenda because they have the money to cover it. But if it's a intellectual property that perhaps costs them a little bit more money, special effects, you have to hire live actors, you have to pay for all the insurance, you have to do all these things. Then they go, oh, well, it's not going to make us any money. Let's quit. Amazon, on the other hand, as I say every time we do a live stream, they don't make money on making movies or shows. They actually make it on the Amazon Prime subscriptions, which then puts you in the seat. You're sitting there watching an Amazon Prime show, and somebody says, hey, honey, the toaster doesn't work anymore. And you go on your Amazon Prime app and you say, next day, click, and you have a new toaster. And so that's how they generate the revenue. They can pay for their agenda. You're paying for the government is paying for the agenda, the subsidies that they get.
And this is the most dangerous thing. And Jaden, I'm glad you're out of timeout. Hamilton says it. Other channels have said it, and this is true. There is no dialogue to adapt from the Silmarillion. There isn't. What you have are detailed, essentially genealogies that show who people were born from, certain marriages, who are brothers and sisters, and in some cases, some of the freaky things that happen that are almost like at a biblical level, Old Testament kind of weirdness that occur within families. And it in the first two books of the Silmarillion are really Tolkien's attempt at doing a creation myth story of how the world was formed. Then the creator creates some beings, there's drama with them, and I'm totally abbreviating this, but it's not until the fifth book of the Silmarillion where you get into the story of Numenor, where you get into anything that we have seen represented peripherally within the Lord of the Rings movies, especially like in that beginning part where Galadriel's talking. And even in that case, it is farther down in some of the lineage. But none of those stories do they have dialogue. They have descriptions of what happens, that there are fights, there are there's Saruman, what he does, all those things, but there's a whole lot of gray area. And much like Tom Shippey said, who was the Tolkien scholar who was on the project from about July 19th until about April 2020, said as long as those key events that are listed within the Silmarillion occur, Amazon can do whatever the hell they want. And it certainly looks like that's what they're going to do based upon all the things that we're seeing.
Hey, good to see you, Teresa. Ms. Martin uses in the chat.
Hey, Teresa, how you doing? Ms. Martin Muses does some fantastic conversations with Stieg, among other people. She covers in depth a lot of the Lord of the Rings books in various stages. Also was talking about Wheel of Time. Go check out her work. She's fantastic. It's so great to see people showing up here.
Yeah, I've been catching some of her live streams recently. A lot of fun, and yeah, I just put her on in background and just listen and listen and listen. And it's wonderful.
Can I jump back to something quickly here, because
please,
I want to make sure
please.
I don't feel actualized right now, and I want to make sure that I'm not the only one who goes out for beers with our buddies and we all end up having a good cry. That's not just me, right? We all do that.
That's what do you think I was doing before?
It's totally normal. Yeah.
I went and cried in the bathroom for 5 minutes. When I had that little breakdown there, it was because I was so emotional that I had to have a good cry real quick. And then
crying in public is totally normal.
I'm about to cry right now. Hold on a sec.
Yeah, I know I can't get out of bed because I can't decide what my pronouns are. Because I don't have to worry about things like, taking care of my family, paying my taxes, making sure my hot water heater works, all those types of things. It's really all about me, and it's about my random erratic emotions based on how I misinterpret other people's, what they do and what they say. And I just need to react continually and not think about my own role in those things. So I agree with you 100%, Zax.
Well, I'm such a giga Chad. I go to sleep crying, and when I wake up, I'm still crying.
Stay hydrated, my friend.
There you go.
You got to stay hydrated.
A lot of water. A lot of water.
Zax, did you have anywhere you were going to go with that, or were you just throwing a softball?
I was just throwing a softball for a laugh and a bit of a break.
Nick, what do
That's
you
all.
think about that? I mean, you're the Australian on this. You hear some of these things. Are these same type of things that you're seeing in America occurring in pop culture, in entertainment in Australia as well, or no?
Uh, Not really. With regard to entertainment and whatnot, let's just face it, I don't really watch television uh, anymore. I mean, I'm completely glued to things like Netflix, YouTube. We've got a streaming service down here called Stan, which is actually really good.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I don't really pay a lot of attention to a lot of the stuff going on Australian television. So, but no, it is one of those things. When America sneezes, pretty much everyone else catches the cold. So,
true.
um, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe saw a bit of an influx in all this stuff, maybe down the track. It really all depends.
I'm going to say this, Lyle Hammock, have a good evening if you have taken off. Thank you so much for showing up tonight and for the super chats. It's always wonderful to have you in chat. So thanks a lot. Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, my brother lives in Eastern Europe. He's been there for many decades. And things are slowly starting to filter over there, certain agendas, um, especially around children, that in things that we have been dealing with here in North America for about 10 years. And people there are fighting it quite vigorously. And that's all that I'll say on that. But yeah, I was just wondering about that. I mean, it's probably true. There are these global audiences, but I would say it's probably safe to say that you in Australia don't need to see an Australian in a role in the Lord of the Rings or in Wheel of Time to see yourself in it. Or am I being
No, no, no. I don't need to see.
insensitive?
I don't have to ask to see Australians at all in any show because we're practically everywhere. I mean, pretty much every main character in every American TV show or movie is played by an Australian nowadays.
Hmm,
So
fair
it seems to
enough.
be that Australians are playing Americans better than Americans.
True.
Well, and wasn't Apollo on Battlestar Galactica? Wasn't he Australian? Am
Pretty
I?
sure he is actually.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd
Just
never
another
know
case of
this,
that.
man. Those cagey Australians with that American accent.
Yeah.
I know.
You can't figure it out.
We have a $10 super chat from Daniel. Hail to you, Daniel. I'm going to give you, let me see what I can pull out of the bag of tricks here. Here we go.
Now for wrath, now for ruin, and the red dawn.
Honestly, I could just watch that scene over and over and over again. God, I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard. I mean, it's so hard to pick which movie of the Lord of the Rings trilogy is my favorite. I oscillate constantly between the Two Towers and Return of the King, especially when it comes to the extended editions. But anyway, let's get to Daniel's super chats. Thank you for that $10 super chat. I put a lot of blame actually on fantasy fans, both Wheel of Time and Lord of the Rings. Normal people forget these shows in 5 minutes, but the true fans keep these abominations alive because they want them to be good. Are you referring to the adaptations, Daniel? Because I understand what you're saying. To me, I've never been very good at sitting still while something I don't agree with or an injustice or an abuse is occurring, which hasn't always worked in my favor. And it doesn't necessarily make me noble. It makes me probably stupid, but it is what it is. And I think there's a lot of guys and women too who have that sense of justice. And I just know if we all sat around and didn't say anything about the Wheel of Time, that everyone would just believe that that this is how it is, and no one maybe would ever pick up that book and not see what Robert Jordan can do.
Well, I think
It's
that
just my opinion, but
I mean, I think it's a fair statement to a point, but I mean, I think we've said it a few times here that they don't even really care about the money. So if we stopped watching it right now and didn't talk about it, the show would still go on for a while as long as they wanted to get their message across. So I get what he's saying, and I don't even think it's unfair. It's an unfair statement. I think some of these shows do stay alive longer because um, we're just so aggravated that they've taken someone we loved and just made it into abominations.
Mm.
Um, but not saying something about it, I feel like is worse because then we have this whole group of people right now that are rediscovering the Wheel of Time books because
Yes.
of all of the
yes,
outrage that is going
yes.
on with the show. And I don't believe for a second that us not doing the things that we're doing uh, for the Wheel of Time and the Lord of the Rings and all these other things that the Marvel comics, all that stuff. Um, yeah, any comics. It's not gonna stop them if they want to do it. I mean, heck, just look at Batwoman. I mean, I
Yeah.
watch more. I watch more EFAP Batwoman coverage. They probably get more ratings on EFAP than the actual show, but they want that show running because of what they're either doing to the comic book title or the message they're getting across, and they'll just keep renewing it until you know I guess one person is watching it. I don't know when they cancel that show. So uh, I get it, and I don't necessarily completely disagree with you, but I think it's still important to say something and point it out to people that are just sort of ignorant to the fact that it's just not how that thing should be portrayed.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is bullies. You can pretend a bully isn't there, but that bully will always remember that you're there. And again, I am under no delusions that I am saving the world from bad entertainment. I just remember what it was like with any bully, whether it was someone who was significantly bigger than me when I was in elementary school, or whether it was someone who was a bully ideologically when I was in college. And I dealt with the same thing that people now call critical race theory. It was called critical theory back then. And I saw and heard and had a lot of really terrible things done to me by the proto progressive left, especially those of the oh boy, what words can I use? Let's just say that the more violent elements of that used to exist 30 years ago. And if you didn't stand up for yourself and what you believe in, they saw it as weakness. And sometimes the only outcome of a battle you can hope for is a stalemate. But you at least end in a stalemate or in a draw on your own terms as opposed to being abused. And again, I'm Gen X and I will go down swinging every day of the week as opposed to taking it. So I don't know. Mike, Zax, what do you guys think about that statement?
Zax.
I think that I think Daniel's not off on that. That yeah, we probably do keep those things alive or topical longer, but I also think that there we can't just take it. And I think it's been said. I think Mike might have said it, but they they also don't really care about making money on these things at this point. They just keep them on because they want to have a message that goes out and they want to be seen to be part of a message. And when companies like Disney are involved and AT&T are involved, they don't care because this is pocket change for them. They don't
Yeah.
need money. Like Disney does not need Marvel Comics money at all. And so they're not afraid to sacrifice those characters on the altar of woke to get the attention they want from the customers they eventually want to have. So I'm happy to stand here and say I don't like it.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of other people up in the Great White North that I have a lot of respect for, who haul a lot of freight up there, who are doing something against a very large imposing force that one could say, what is the point? And I got to tell you, I love these guys. I got a lot of respect and I got a lot of love for you guys in Canada. And like I said, I used to work in Ontario, spent a lot of time up there, and I have a lot of respect for people who fight. So
It, you know
hail
what?
to you.
Locally, they're downplaying that here, which is too bad
Of course they are.
because I'm here where it's happening, and they're acting like it's not that big of a deal here locally in the media, which is not a surprise at all. But that's how
Well,
they do
that's
things.
what happened. That's what happened when I was in a blue state on the West Coast too. I'll just say that, not to get political, but those who control the information seem to think they can control the reality. Let me get to this super chat. Oh my God, look at this from Ms. Martin Muses. We get a 99-cent red rose. No one has ever given me roses on the internet before. That's so sweet. Thank you very much. You know, it's funny. I'm a member of Culture Casino's channel, and whenever he does a 6-minute daily, I always give him a piece of pie. And it's like, I got to tell you, if someone, a red rose, though, I can dig that. Thank you so much, Ms. Martin Muses. Fantastic.
Very in character.
Absolutely. Class act. So we are, God, yet another show where we are going on 2 hours. We have over 30 people in our chat. The chat has been hopping all night. You guys have been fantastic. We wanted to cover a whole lot of things tonight, and I think we've done it. And that's one of the things I love about doing this with you guys is that we range far and wide, but we do it, I think, in a pretty controlled way. So we've been talking about Wheel of Time. Let's do this. I know a lot of people have beat this horse to death, but that Lord of the Rings, air quotes, wood burning Jeff Bezos wall mounted thing that happened. I actually made a video on it yesterday that I've been working on for a while, and I expressed my opinions and my concern based on evidence that we have as to what happened in the production. And I referenced it starting in 2019 when a whole lot of people were brought on, and then mysteriously they were all let go, fired, terminated around March and April of 2020. And then what did we get in May of 2020? We got Amazon's diversity and entertainment playbook. That being said, let's go around the horn. What did you think about that teaser trailer we got? Overall impressions.
Who's
go
first?
ahead. Whoever wants to go.
I'll go first. I couldn't believe how fake it looked. And then finding out that it was all real, I couldn't believe it. I mean, the fact that they didn't show anything, it's literally nothing. It's literally nothing. And then just to see all the work that was put into that nothing, the poor people that took all the time to melt all, just set up all that stuff, and then just because we got shiny 4K cameras, we're going to use them no matter what the outcome is. It looks so, I don't know. It's sad because it just was nothing and it looked terrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of craftsmanship. Yeah, there's a lot of craftsmanship. There's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into wood carving like that. And not only that, as someone who lived in the Pacific Northwest, I can tell you that type of a slab of wood was a magnificent specimen. It wasn't cheap. And they could have done so much more to show you that just how beautiful that species of wood was in the craftsmanship that went into it. Instead, it looked like a late 90s like game that you'd play on like Windows 98. Let me say goodnight to
throwing money around. Like, we have money, we can do this.
They build dick-shaped spaceships. So are we surprised? Let me say goodnight to Shimmy Hina. Good night to you. Thanks for showing up and being part of the chat. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Mike, what did you think about that trailer? I don't think you and I have talked about it a lot.
We have not talked about it. I have some things to say about it. Okay. I have the question first. What is the point of that teaser? What were they trying to do? And then I have a follow-up, but I would like to get you guys'
start a fire.
No, I'm genuinely asking, like, why did they make it? Like, what was the real reason? Was it just hype?
I have an answer. I think what they wanted to show that they could make something much worse than the intro to Fellowship of the Rings was.
They wanted to
That many years
tree,
ago,
that tree fell on somebody's car, and they wanted to punish it some more, so they
just to
chopped
get
it
us
into
ready.
several slabs and burned
Okay.
it.
Well, if it was just for Bezos to have something to hang on his wall, and they figured that he might as well film it and put it out there. Okay, whatever. I just think it's a missed opportunity, because if it's all about marketing, if they're trying to get us all excited, why not instead hire a really good jewel crafter to make
Forge a ring. Hell yeah.
well nine
Oh.
rings. Start off with
Oh,
9
yeah.
rings, and then
Oh,
say
dude. Yeah.
look at these beautiful rings. If you have an Amazon Prime membership and you watch the first season, you are automatically entered to win one of these 9 rings. Then the next season, and here are
Yeah.
how many for the Dwarf Lords? Was it 5? Is it 9, 5, 3, and 1? Anyone?
I
The
think it's 7. Isn't it 7?
7 for the dwarf lords, 5 for
Okay.
the elves, and I thought 9 for men.
Oh, sorry, 5 for. I thought it was 3. Okay, so whatever the next number is, you make that exactly as described. Have the jewel crafter make those rings. Again, second season, you watch 100% of each episode all season long. Automatically entered to win.
Well, not only
Right?
that, but then
Just keep going, and then yeah,
opportunities to make money, just like we talked about with the Wheel of Time. If this show just didn't suck, like if this was just at the Shannara Chronicles level, I would have bought the ruby hilted dagger if they would have actually done it in Shader
Oof.
Logoth.
Oh my
I would
God.
have bought Rand's Heron Mark blade if it didn't look like something you'd get at
yeah.
I don't
well,
know, like a
Dollar
bad
store?
prop. Yeah, a dollar
Yes.
store. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
If they would have had these rings of power and they would have showed that and said you can order the rings of
But-
power and
yeah,
show us
but you
them.
actually, for the teaser, you actually have to show the guy actually making them. Like,
Exactly.
you actually
I
have close
agree.
up, very, very fine, zoomed in camera, you make them. And yeah, and then you can also, of course, offer them for sale, and they would be a genuinely
Yes.
high quality item, maybe $2,500, $5,000, $10,000. I don't know, whatever it would cost
Yeah.
for the
People would buy it,
hardcore
yeah.
fans.
Yeah.
Somebody would make this, yeah. But to just show, pouring, what was it, silver, and they made it gold tinted, but was it silver that they just?
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was actually molten silver or something. But yeah, whatever it was, it was just
That's
like,
still a
why
lot of money.
are they messing with? Yeah. Oh no, it definitely is. But it's it just goes on Bezos' wall. So
That's the thing is, Mike, you're talking about what somebody who loves Tolkien would do. To say, I'm going to share this with you. What did we get instead? We got Bezos showing off how much money he's got. And it's like, look what I have, as opposed to, I am a fan. I know you're a fan too. Let's share this together. And your idea of like, you could win one of the rings, or you could buy, a set that's fabricated out of stainless steel for
show one of these awesome
$300.
Yep.
Yeah.
Show one of these awesome blacksmiths that do reproductions and have them forge some of these swords, and then say, yeah, you can buy these on Amazon. Any of these things would be great marketing for the series, but instead, that's what we got. So that's my point.
Well,
I see things like that, and I go, what the F word are you people doing? You have so many. You're a $1 trillion company. Come on, do something worthwhile. Get us excited. And
well, at least pretend that you care about other people. I mean, I don't know if Bezos is a fan or not. I know he started this as selling books back in the day. I'm sure he knew who Tolkien was, but at least pretend that we little people matter once in a while. And all that was some vanity project. I mean, the dude's already written a dick rocket to space. Okay, he's got these super hot young whatever new wife. Okay, great, good for you. If you're gonna blow $1 billion on Tolkien, I think the best thing somebody like that could do would be to make something for the fans, and then to give something, like you said, to the fans. Instead, it's just,
it'd be fun.
in my opinion, more goddamn narcissism. And it's like, oh gee, I'm so shocked. Let me get to this super chat real quick here. This comes to us from Daniel, who says $5 US. Oh, I don't mean you guys in shows like this. I mean Wheel of Time fans who are currently forgiving the show. There are normies, fans, and critical fans. Daniel, I owe you an apology. I misunderstood. I blame it on Mike, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'd blame it
honestly.
on me too.
And
Either
I'm going to
way, I
give you.
get it.
Yeah, let's blame Zach's too, just because he's handy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
blame me.
give you
Why not?
this.
Making
Yeah.
a lot of
Here you
sense.
go, Daniel. This is for you.
Now for wrath, now for ruin, and the red dawn.
Daniel,
Oh,
thank you. I absolutely get it now what you meant. I'm a boomer, and one of the things we all know about this is we can send a text and mean something entirely different than an idiot like me would understand it to be on the other side. So hail to you, Daniel. He says, I don't mean guys in shows like this. I mean Wheel of Time fans who are currently forgiving the show. Like, I keep saying this. Why is it our responsibility as fans or people who go to a movie? Why is it the onus on us to be forgiving and to allow the creators to make so many mistakes? They are creating a product. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Wheel of Time, but also Book of Boba Fett. The people who are out there apologizing for the Book of Boba Fett and saying we have to support this because that's the only way things are going to change, I think that's complete and total bullshit.
No,
I mean,
yeah,
at what point? At what
Yeah.
point do we go? I mean, that's literally like saying, well, I bought a car, a Hyundai. It was a total piece of garbage. It cost me $20,000 over 3 years to fix. But the problem is me because I expected that car to work and to be as it was advertised. So what I need to do is buy another Hyundai because I'm sure this time they'll get it.
Or
And
even better, it's up to you then to go on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else, Twitter, and tell everybody how great your Hyundai is, that they should all buy the Hyundai. Yeah.
And if you don't like Hyundai, you're a misogynist racist and you're a Russian bot troll and you probably
that's
voted
true.
for that
That's
guy.
true.
The guy with the orange.
Support it or things will never change. Like that's sort of like opposite.
It's called enabling.
So
it's called.
I have a question
enabling.
for the panel and the chat. So what do you think the biggest thing that they could do to promote Lord of the Rings, the TV show, would be right now? The one move they could make.
Get back Tom Shippey and
That's a good
start
one.
over.
Sorry, say that again. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Like they tried to do the promotional move by making that stupid sign and then built the trailer that wasn't a trailer to get people talking about Lord of the Rings. But what could they do to drum up positive publicity and support for the show at this point? The one thing they could do, best thing they could do. Chip is a good answer, but
I mean,
my thought is fire Rafe Judkins.
Yes.
agreed.
That's actually true.
That would
That's
go
actually
miles.
true. Well, to say we've heard the fans of Wheel of Time and
his entire team to add that in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
whoever, they have their fake expert that's helping him.
Because if you just fire Rafe Judkins, the next person to step up is going to do the same thing.
It's
Yeah,
symbolic
and
promotion, though.
fire the writers as well. They're
Yes.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've said
all
this
there.
in I've said this in many videos, but I am 100% convinced the only reason Rafe Judkins, in my opinion, got the job was because he was going to do exactly what he did.
Yes.
And until someone shows me otherwise, Rafe Judkins, in my opinion, mission was to deconstruct, to feminist agentize, and to insert all possible woke globalist narratives as possible
Absolutely.
into the Wheel of Time. And in that case, Rafe Judkins was one of the most successful creative forces Amazon has ever seen.
Yep.
So what's the only way you can beat that if your company judges success by how well it reaches its ESG score metrics in its own diversity policy? Well, that means Lord of the Rings has to be much, much more of what Rafe Judkins gave us. I don't want that to be true, but I don't see how it ends up any other way. You guys
How do we
tell me what you think.
combat that? How do we stop this from happening?
I don't know. But
Just
what do
don't
we
support
think?
Amazon.
You
That's
know?
it. Just completely was it take away your subscriptions. Don't use Amazon. Don't watch Amazon.
That's
Yeah.
that's
But
I
I
use
think
obviously
it.
the
the
hard,
that is the best way to do it. However, to be real, I'm too addicted to Amazon Prime. Or
yeah.
not the shows, but I'm whenever I need anything,
What
I need a memory card for my Raspberry Pi. I need, a new hard drive. I need whatever it is.
I think that
I
that
don't
was
want to
a
get up and drive to a place and, stand in line and buy it. I just use Amazon.
well, I think that
And
was your
so
best point about just maybe Amazon Video being jumping ahead of Netflix is uh when it comes to this stuff is just
yeah,
nobody like I don't have Amazon Prime because I want to watch the videos. I get the videos with Amazon Prime.
exactly.
It's just a
Yeah.
throw in. So, I mean, they're in a very unique position to where it's just like we want to make TV shows, so we're making them. It's not for the money. It's
I was
we make all our money on our Prime memberships, which gets you this,
yep. I
which
was
may be a buying point, but people were buying Prime before Amazon Prime Video was a thing.
yep. Well, they look at the number of subscriptions to HBO when they had Game of Thrones and they see that, okay, so I'm going to make up a number. It's just for math. Let's say that HBO had 1 million subscribers before Game of Thrones. And as I guess you'd say that the positive feedback for the first couple seasons started coming out, let's say they reached 10 million subscribers. Well, that jump of 9 million subscribers, and again, that's a made up number. But if Amazon wants to see Amazon Prime memberships jump by that amount, that's what they're hoping to do by this. But I was talking to Corey earlier today and I said, "Hey, just watch the first 15 minutes of the new Lord of the Rings and then just stop because that's going to show them that you gave it a try and then you hated it and you stop. But if you don't watch it at all, then they see it as, well, you just haven't gotten around to it yet." And they put it in the column of might watch later. Or if you watch all of it, they say, "Oh, this person loves it." You could be making YouTube videos about how much you hate it, but as far as they're concerned, they see that you've watched 100% of all the episodes. You therefore must love it. So if you really want to, I guess, fight back, you got to just watch a sliver of the first episode, cut and run, and be done. That's the only thing that's going to get through to them. My opinion.
Yeah, I think that's
I
you're
agree.
not wrong. Go, Nick.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Nick, go ahead.
I just put something in the chat. Because a lot of these weirdo activist writers posing as artists, they all live on Twitter. So maybe there is merit to what you just said about giving the show a little bit of a watch, but make a big, huge noise on Twitter about how bloody awful it is.
Well, the problem is they ban you for that.
Oh, but you have to do it in a very much respectful way.
Well, I've tried doing what you're saying, Nick, with the videos I'm making, where when we get attacked for not liking the show, that we say why. And I'm not saying I have the monopoly on that, and I'm not shilling my own videos. Well, maybe I am, but if you haven't seen that video, and I'm going to continue to do it, is talk about step by step what happened in this production and the people who got fired. And a lot of these people that were on Amazon's Lord of the Rings starting in July of 2019 got fired March, April of 2020, and then it just went into this black hole. There are supposedly lore experts there, but Tolkien lore experts besides Tom Shippey. There's not one name for who that might be.
Well,
And
yeah, I mean, the lore experts are, you saw the Tolkien Society stuff. I mean,
oh Jesus! Don't even get me started.
But
Gondor in transition.
Yeah,
I mean, feminist perspectives on
Shippey
dwarves.
was the scholar. You don't know any of these people, and it could be any one of those people that they deemed a scholar. You don't know. Shippey was the name and the one that carried the gravitas. So.
Let me shout out Resurrection 117. He is late, but he's here. Hail to you, my wolf brother. Good to see you. We're just glad you're here. Yeah, I mean, Mike, Nick.
Hold on. I want to say something else about him. He is in our group chat, which if you would please message me if you're a Wolf brother. I can add you to our group chat on Twitter at KF204 is my handle. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of sort of inside baseball things that we share. We're talking about other shows besides Wheel of Time. Also going to be talking about what times work for the channel members of Texas Salty Sea. I think I have 10 now. I'm going to be sending out that survey probably this week because we're going to do a live stream that includes OBG70, Zax, whoever wants to show up, as well as any of those people who are members of my Wolf Brothers. And you guys are going to talk to me. You guys are going to tell me what's up. And we're going to hang out. We're going to put it public. It's going to be fun. Of course, we're going to have chat. Just putting that out there. So thanks to everyone who's one of my Wolf brothers. I cannot wait to have a Wolf sister. So if you're out there, I'd love to have you as one of my Wolf sisters. So cheers to that.
Huh. Just think about that. I wonder if that's a thing. I guess, yeah. I guess maybe in the Wheel of Time. I don't know. Never breached that subject. That could have been an interesting subject to breach.
I got to tell you, here's the thing. If Rafe Judkins can do what he did with Wheel of Time, I can make Wolf Sisters. I'm just saying.
Well,
you know?
I'm sure we'll see a Wolf Sister in Wheel of Time, and she'll be better than Perrin. We can count on it.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole thing, and who hasn't talked about the Amazon Wheel of Time trailer for the Wings of Power? Who hasn't had their chance to talk about it? Because I'm agreeing with everything that you all are saying. I just want to make sure everybody who's on the panel tonight has got their chance to say something. I will take silence as everybody's covered it. Thank you very much for that. Oh, Lord. I mean, that's the whole thing with a lot of this stuff is, other big channels say it. All we want is something good to talk about every week. Could you imagine if we had a show like Star Trek or Doctor Who or Wheel of Time or Lord of the Rings? So every time that episode ended, we could jump on a stream and lose our minds at how much we loved it, or that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
On that, I do actually have like a what do you call it? A rule of thumb, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the chat that attention is attention, even if it's negative. That's one thing that I learned whilst I was at university doing teaching.
True.
However, I do maintain that negative attention has a vastly vastly shorter lifespan than positive attention, let's say. With negative attention, people tend to just offload their stuff. Like, for instance, whilst I enjoy ragging on the Wheel of Showtime, I probably won't be making another 20-minute video about it.
Yeah.
I've blown my figurative load, so to speak.
Oh, you animal.
That's hot. That's hot.
Yeah, but however, if you've got Lord of the Rings or say Harry Potter or Outlander or what's another thing on my shelf? Or let's just say the prequel trilogy and original trilogy for Star Wars. Because those things leave us with a positive feeling, we can talk about those endlessly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly say hail to that 70s rock fan, my fellow Canadian in the chat.
Hey, he's going to be here in Texas, and he and I have been talking on another social media platform other than Twitter. And I'm not putting you on the spot, sir. I'm behind in the chat, but just let me know when you're in Austin. I will make the drive out, and we'll go hit some record stores and have a beer. So hail to you, sir. Always good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
I will not be getting to Austin for quite a while.
Well, I only go to Austin when I have to. I live about an hour outside of it for good reason, but there are some cool places to go because that is air quotes civilization where I live, because I live in the middle of nowhere. intentionally. I'm very happy about that. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
there are more deer in my neighborhood than people, like by 100 to 1, which I'm a big fan of. So, but Nick, go ahead. You were continuing to talk about that. You're right. I mean, I used to be an educator. You don't want to reward negative attention seeking behavior. At the same point, though, we're not dealing with children, although one could arguably say these creatives have the
Well, no,
emotional
these people haven't left high
intelligence of
school.
children. Agreed. And I think in some cases, developmentally, they're stuck at the 3 to 5 developmental
Mm.
age, with how they throw tantrums and they
Oh, yeah.
react. They don't possess, in my opinion, the ability to self-regulate, and they throw tantrums when they don't get their way. But
Mm.
continue. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I really do think positive trumps negative all the time. And,
Mm.
let's just say oh, let's just say a couple of months. Well, actually, I've already noticed it really. People have been really sort of going quiet about Wheel of Time. It's come out. The shills have done their job, and people like you and me and a whole lot of other people have had their say, and now it's just going to go quiet because everything that has been said, and it's not going to play on anyone's minds anymore. It's not going to stick round because there was nothing really positive to make it stick round.
True.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
consume content,
Yeah, it's consume, don't think.
move on to next content. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
move on.
emotional,
Yeah.
they're emotional and cultural locus, and they
Yeah.
will indiscriminately devour whatever is ever in front of them. If you tell them what they're eating is toxic or they shouldn't be eating it, they will attack you. And whether it's on social media or otherwise, and like that article we were looking at from Winter is Coming, they have a whole platoon division of social people on these social media sites, and also these highly questionable entertainment news sites that are there for one reason, and that is to reinforce the message that they have. We've seen what that has done to sites like IGN, Polygon, other places. um, I really do think the only place you're gonna get a fairly reasonable, and I would say accurate opinion right now, is by going and finding smaller YouTubers, or YouTubers who have been consistently honest, in my opinion, in fairly critical in the past. One thing I don't want to do is just hate things to be full of hate. I have better things to do with my life than just be a dick all the time. I would love to find a show where I can literally jump up and down and talk about how great it is. I really
Yeah.
like Arcane, but I haven't formulated a
How
final
many
opinion
how
on
many
it yet.
episodes does
So,
it take to like Arcane? I tried the first episode. I couldn't get into it.
I wasn't a big fan of Arcane myself, but I know people
love
like it. So.
Episode 3. If you
Yeah.
get to episode 3, you're gonna buy in.
Okay.
I believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something to watch right now. And we did miss the boat on things like Squid Game. That would have been a fun one to talk about.
That's just not my vibe. Honestly, that's just not my genre. I get it. I have respect for it. I mean, South Korean cinema is fantastic. What was it? Last Train to Busan? Is it
Train
the
to
zombie
Busan.
movie? Yes, that was freaking amazing. So I have a lot of respect for it. It's just that Squid Game stuff. It's just that's just not my vibe. It's just not. It's cool, but not my vibe. So,
Well, it's mine. And I was thinking about doing some stuff, but I'm
well,
so
you can.
overloaded right now. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm so overloaded. I keep adding a different subject to talk about. And I asked you earlier in the week, I said, who here is a Stargate SG1 fan? Because I need someone to do some SG1 videos. And it crickets. I mean,
Oh, I
I
watched
was
this
just like,
one way back in the
Yeah.
day.
are you a fan?
I've had-
Is it something we could talk about?
I know I've watched it through once. But, like I don't.
Okay, then
it
that's
lost
not
me
important.
somewhere. I like
Okay.
no. It's like I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan. Like you know what I mean? Like I
He
like it.
Mike, you could also sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Prophet of the Dragon walked by the DVD cases at Best Buy, so that he knows what all of the Stargate DVD cases look
That's
like.
not
Yeah.
fair. Look, I
I'm
enjoyed
not,
the
dude.
show.
I gotta
but-
break your balls a little bit.
Yeah. I enjoyed the show, but I couldn't like sit down and break down episodes.
I'm doing Legend of the Seeker, as you guys know. That's fun to talk about, but it's, of course, this is all old stuff, you know.
Mhm.
Renaissance nerd likes SG1. Okay, we'll have to talk about it.
Well,
Yeah,
there you
I
go.
mean,
Let me get
Yeah,
to
go
the
ahead.
super chat, Mike, real quick. So this is are you ready, Mike? This is a $20 super chat from my wolf brother, who's a little late, but fashionably late. I'll mix you a martini. Resurrection 117 says, wait, let me go. I'll read it and I'll give you a video. So, how much and at what point should we hold the writers of the books accountable for the way these shows turn out? Oh boy. Example? Brandon
Um,
Sanderson.
yeah,
I don't
I
think he had much to do with the show at all. He probably had maybe one or two things to do with the show, but I guarantee you, as soon as he opened his trap, he goes, "No, you're a white male. Sit back, get to the back of the classroom," so to
right.
speak.
let me
Well,
go ahead and
I think
drop this video.
Sanderson's being left off the hook, but go ahead.
I agree. Let me give this video to you, Resurrection 117. This one's for you. Thank you so much for that $20 super chat.
We travel light. That is handsome orc.
Oh, I could hunt some orc. I really could. I'm in an orc hunting frame of mind. Isn't that a Billy Joel song? No, it's I agree with you guys, but here's the thing. I made a video and oh god, I sound like a broken record about Brandon Sanderson and what he said on Reddit. I then went to Forbes and quoted a Forbes article that was written by another YouTuber who has a very large channel who quoted Brandon Sanderson and what he said. I made that video. That video got 30,000 views. And my ratio on that was to the floor. It dropped down to about 60%. So about 40% of the people downvoted it because they said I was misrepresenting the fact that Brandon Sanderson didn't say what he said. And I'm like, this is what he said. He said this. I'm not taking it out of context. You know, the fact that he later says, I have the greatest confidence in this show, but I hated the fact that Perrin killed his wife and it made no sense to me. And I also didn't like that they turned Matrim into a degenerate, but I'm sure the show's going to be fine.
Yeah.
This is the stuff I don't understand. So Resurrection 117, I agree with you.
Yeah. Sanderson. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead, because you're on a different subject. So go ahead.
Oh, Sanderson has and I'm not gonna stuff, but I think he's towing the line right now. I think he's let some stuff slip that he doesn't really like it, but I think he's just
walking a line.
He's not built that way as a person. It doesn't seem like, because I've watched his YouTube channel, and that's just not who he is to talk trash or talk down about something. And then on top of that, he's left no secret that he wants all of his stuff to be adapted in some way, whether it's a video game.
100% Mistborn.
There's another little part of that
movie. So this is his in to that. So I think he's being. I mean, that's I don't know that I can blame him too much, but I think it would be a lot different if somebody took a hold of Stormlight Archive and just did this to it.
Yeah. There's also something that I would like to mention on that subject that is possibly not a motivating factor. And I would like to get you guys' take on it. Then I want to talk about the examples of other books and authors. But what I want to say is Rafe Judkins is LDS, and so is Brandon Sanderson. So that they, and is Shad. So they all say good things. And I wonder how much of it is not wanting to go against your own.
Fair enough.
I don't know if that's true. And this is just me thinking about it right now. Chat, don't hold me to that.
Yeah, it's a worthy thing to bring up. I don't know how far we want to go down the road on that.
Yeah, I don't want to go any further.
I get exactly what you're saying, though. It's
Yeah.
that is probably the
They
last
are a
thing
tight
anyone would
community,
do.
they do look out
Exactly.
for each other, so.
Exactly.
But
100%.
I also wanted to say, when the author is alive and very, I guess you would say, particular about who makes a live action adaptation of their show, and I'm looking at George R.R. Martin, who was very picky about who was the showrunners, had a litmus test set up. Do you know who Jon Snow's real mom is? And they had to answer correctly on the spot without any prep. And then, as a person who's made television, who's written scripts, who's been in production, he already knew the ins and outs of all this. They couldn't get one past him. And so, the first 3 seasons, I'll even go say as far as season 4 was pretty good or season 5 was okay. And then you have people like J.K. Rowling, again, same thing on Harry Potter. Whoever the author is for Interview with the Vampire, I always forget her name. She was also very particular, didn't want Tom Cruise even involved, could not
Anne
picture
Rice.
him. Yeah, Anne Rice.
Anne
Could
Rice.
not even
Yep.
picture him as, was it Lasat? Or I'm trying to remember the name
Yep,
from
that's
wherever.
right.
Yeah, could not even
Yep.
picture him until they got a little thing together and talked, and then showed her what he could do, and then she fell in love. I mean, it really depends on how much the author wants to be involved, and if they have any lines in the contract saying I have veto rights or not. Are you buying the entire intellectual property from me and I have no say, or are you basically leasing it on condition that
Yeah.
you do it correctly? It does really depend, and so I'm doing the reviews of Legend of the Seeker, which is an adaptation of Wizard's First Rule. And
Yes.
as I'm
Great
reading this series,
Great
well,
series. In my opinion, go
let
ahead.
me push this button here. Boo!
I'm
No,
shocked. Do it.
no,
Do it. Do it.
man,
Push it.
I actually don't have it.
Push it real good.
I do not like the book series near as much as I like television series for the most part. And so I'm glad they made some of the changes. And I'm the minority on that for sure. I know that. But as I'm reading it and I'm going, God, this is badly written. And oh my gosh, some of this stuff is right out of Wheel of Time. It's just completely stolen plot lines. And I'm just going,
Sort of Truth went crazy after. Like it is.
Agreed.
It's a very good parallel
Agreed.
to Wheel. I think it's like.
I
Well,
liked reading it. I liked
Great-
it, but
Great
you're
Hunt,
right.
the
I
entire
agree.
thing about the collar, the soldum and how that all works. And I'm breaking your will, and you can't even take the ring off of the thing. It's right out of Denna and her working over Richard, and then
100%.
Richard
Yeah.
having this power that's just beyond his reach, and he tries to reach for it, and it's like running his fingers through water. He can't grab,
Yes.
and it's like direct quotes from Wheel of Time. And then today I was reading the next book, the Stone of Tears, whatever it is. And it was, what was the thing there that was very similar? I don't know. It was
The
very
Brother
much
Heart.
like, yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, it was the Seers. It was the Seer. And she was talking about how she can see the auras around people. And it's exactly like Min describes when she can see people's aura. I mean, it's like lifted directly. And so I'm pissed. I'm like, damn this book. I almost threw, if it wasn't my freaking iPad, I would have thrown it out the damn window. But so yeah, I like the series better. I like the television series better, and I'm glad I'm covering that. And I will. Oh man.
Well, you also said that the eye candy was.
Oh hell yeah.
Good. So I
Oh
mean,
my God.
I respect that a lot. Speaking
hell
of
yeah.
respecting a lot, Amanda Manethrin is in the chat tonight. He was with us last week. He was busy tonight. He and I are actually getting together tomorrow night to work on something special. I love this guy. Amanda Manethrin. I'm going to try and get him on our live streams again. I think all of us on this chat love working with him, and we're going to have him on again real soon. So hail to you, Amanda Manethrin. But Mike, I agree with you. I mean, Wizard's First Rule, I mean, I liked it. It's one of those books that's really good if you're on a long flight across the country.
Or stoned. Or drunk. Or
okay.
I don't know.
I don't read very well when I'm inebriated.
Oh.
Let's just say that. But
well, then I mean, at least Madam Manethrin's on my side on this. Oh God.
Well,
I
Nick
can get
McCabe,
through it. It's not okay. It isn't exactly as bad as that I said. It's actually better, I think, than David Eddings stuff. But It is barely.
Oh, dude. Okay. Well, that's a whole other road. And let's ask the chat
Whoa,
this.
whoa.
Would you like us to talk about David Eddings in the multiple series that he did, the Bulgarian, as well as I'm sitting
Man.
on the shelf and I'm looking at the Sorceress
Malorian.
of Darshiva, the Malorian. I'm looking at the Seekers of Kel. Come on. If you guys would like us to start covering some of David Eddings, I would love to
Man.
talk about that.
Give me
One of
an
the best
excuse to read it.
storytellers. He's a great
Yeah,
storyteller.
yeah, yeah,
Easy reads
100%.
too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch up with the chat because God, our chat is freaking fantastic. So yeah, look at this. You've got a statement of support, Mike. This one comes to us from Son of Jockster. I'm in the same camp. OBG liked the show way better than the first book, so that's fair. I'm going to have to give the show.
No, there are
a
some
shot.
elements of the
So-
books. There are some elements of the books that I do like better. I like Kaelin better in the books for the most part,
Mhm.
but and Zed in the show is completely incompetent, and he's really strong in the books. So there are
Exactly.
elements. Yeah, there are elements I wish that they would have put in the show.
What,
But
what about
just the
what about
writing.
what about you, Zax? Do you have any opinion on Wizard's first rule on the show that OBG70 is talking about?
Oh, the chicks look hot. That's about it.
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
fair
That's
enough.
as deep as it
So
goes right now.
Jaden Hamilton, you heard it here first. We're actually talking about the Legend of the Seeker show, which is based upon Wizard's first rule.
Yeah, I got off on
And,
a
there-
tangent there. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We've got some people who want to find out what you're talking about. So go check out the show. I actually read the first, 6-7 books. It's an easy read. There's really no other way to put it. It's highly digestible. It's like eating cotton candy. So not all fantasy is created equal, and not all fantasy is going to be something that's deeply built. Let's just say that. So yeah, I agree with what Mike is saying. We've been going almost 3 hours. We have 33 people in the chat. I'm going to go back through our original notes. I think we've been doing a great job tonight. So I know one thing. You guys still good to hang for a little bit?
I had nothing
Yeah,
else to do.
absolutely.
Cool.
Yep.
Nick, it's so much fun
I'm good
having
for
you.
this.
I just want to say this again.
So
Nick
much fun
McCabe,
being
you're
here.
you are fantastic, dude. I will be your wingman anytime. It's fantastic having your opinions. And we never want to have a live stream that's just an echo chamber. So this is great, Nick. I totally would love to have you on the show again. And I'm not getting rid of you when I say that. I just want to call it out. Prophet of the Dragon, always a solid guy, and he got a new mic for Christmas, so he's welcome back anytime. But Zax wanted to talk about The Witcher a little bit, and Zax actually did a cool video today. Zax, I'll let you talk about it, but it has to do with the actress playing the elf queen, the elf matriarch, Francesca Finnebar. So, Zax, I've set you up. What did you want to talk about with that?
Yeah, I did a short about it and released it today just because the show should be better. It's okay. I enjoy Henry Cavill enough that I'm willing to watch it. But I noticed I was just looking at the actors on IMDb, and I couldn't find Francesca because I kept looking for a white Francesca. But she's not at all white in real life, and so I was taken aback by the whole thing, considering that I mean, it's basically, it's kind of like whiteface, and it didn't need to happen. She's beautiful. She's absolutely gorgeous, and she's biracial. So they have black elves and they have black characters. So why can't you have a biracial elf character in the show? I don't understand why you'd put all that makeup on to make her look like something else. It's not an important part of the story. And if anything, the character on the show that's most known by their features would be probably Triss. And
Yes,
they didn't.
Who
they
I
didn't
love,
stop them.
by the way.
Yeah,
yeah.
I do.
And-
I the actor. I mean, I think she's great.
I like the actors too, and I think they've established that they don't need to do this with Triss, and I don't have an issue with any of the casting on the show really, except for on it. I would like, it'd be nice if there was a Polish person on the show because it's a Polish story, but that aside, I'm not complaining about the casting or any of that, or the race swapping stuff at all. It's just I don't know why that they would choose her to do that with. there's no reason for it whatsoever. And then I was looking into the Twitter comments from the showrunner that she put out I think it was last week, maybe a bit before that, but
Mm.
she was going back and forth with the quartering, and then she was apologizing a lot to her own fan base
Yeah,
for
that
doing that.
writer, that
Yeah.
writer. For those of you that don't know, the showrunner for The Witcher, the same one who did season 1, boy, how do we say this? She's very progressive, and she's very progressive Hollywood leftist progressive. And long story short, the quartering, Jeremy, called her out in one of his videos. She actually reached out to him,
I
and they
found that
began
quite
a.
interesting, actually.
I would agree, and it was publicly done on Twitter, and it led to Jeremy the quartering becoming an advocate. And I'm not speaking ill of anyone, but also Jeremy falling into a posture of, if people are willing to talk to us and engage with us as fans and hear what we have to say, let's take them up on it. And so far she's done that. What Kyle is talking about is, on our side, the fact that they're listening to us and acknowledging what we're having to say, and we're having a respectful conversation, I would say on this side, which would be centrists, and then to the right, it's all good. But what Zach's was showing on his video was crazy, because there are these people who are on the far spectrum on the left, and all they can do is find fault with what this very progressive Hollywood leftist did with their air quotes representation, agenda, and identity politics and intersectional feminism in a very progressive Witcher season 2.
And that's something that I want to quickly touch on, is she had to apologize to her own fan base because she was being inclusive and bringing in people to the show. She wanted to have everyone represented, but then they were upset with her for the order in which people died on the show. And too many Black people died. So she was apologizing on Twitter to those people who were complaining to her. Someone who was deaf died. People were upset about that. So it's almost like you can't possibly please the mob, because you still have a story to tell, and bad things have to happen to somebody. And so if you're going to have that much representation in a show, which people want, and it's not a bad thing, then like give her a break on what happens with those characters. But they were the ones she was responding to, and there was someone who was, someone who was bisexual died, and so she's promised to add more bisexual people. Like, I mean, she was almost only responding to those people, and it's absurd. And I don't even believe those are people.
I agree. And I was going to say that it's literally like someone was running through the most arcane XY axis of intersectionality, because that's really what this comes down to. Is a lot of people like to call it the woke disadvantaged Olympics. And that's really what it is with intersectionality. Is there's a hierarchy, and supposedly at the top are Caucasian men, because we have everything and our life is so easy. And then depending on what race, gender, sexuality, if you've got a disability, all this other stuff, the lower you go down that list, the more disadvantaged and the more unfair life is to you. So therefore, the more representation and accolades you deserve. That's not my judgment. That's what this is. That's what intersectionality has been, starting over 30 years ago when I watched it be put together. And there are people on Twitter, I know this is going to shock you, who want all of the most disadvantaged people on this made up list that is based upon really racist stereotypes and very superficial qualities to be more represented. It doesn't matter how many actually exist in the world, or if they exist at all. They want to see them on the screen, because I guess that gives them an endorphin rush of some type of weirdo agenda thing. But this writer who's trying to write a show, which was written by a Polish author, about a Polish folk hero, which was loosely translated into The Witcher, using classical Eastern European monsters, which do exist in that folklore that he does battle with, like the Striga in the first season. These people are suddenly saying, because you don't have a African-American trans amputee who has a learning disability, who's bisexual, not in the story, I want to see that. And that's what we're talking about.
And if you have them on the show, nothing bad can happen to them.
Right.
Yeah,
So
That's what you
can't
call
win.
angel tokens.
Yeah.
forgot the wheelchair.
So if I knew how to share the screen, I would show you the tweets, but I can't. I don't know how to do that. So
send me the link.
it's in the private chat.
Okay, you guys vamp for
Well,
me while I try
it
and
makes
do
you
this
it
video.
makes you sort of wonder when some of these people are gonna snap, if ever, with all the just where does it end? I mean, it's like, where does it end? I've taken all these liberties. I've changed this, I've changed that to make sure that you're represented, and it's still not good enough. I guess the problem is there's a line of people that are ready to just replace these people because they're not hiring qualified people anymore. They're just hiring people.
You said qualified. You sound like
Checking
a
boxes.
misogynist.
Oh,
Yeah.
my misogynist is showing. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I mean, again, could you? It's the same thing that leads them to say a man cannot mentor young boys. Yeah, they're trying to right some wrong that they've been taught exists without actually having worked for anything, and they're constantly at war with an abstract. And when you're at war with an abstract, what it allows you to do is be incredibly intellectually lazy and intellectually dishonest. And I probably should stop talking because I've been drinking bourbon, but I've been dealing with this, like I said, for 30 years. And to see what it's done to our characters and our stories, it's appalling to me. And it's like, I've been canceled so many times already. You can't scare me anymore. That's all I'm going to say. So, but yeah, here's the tweet right here, Zax, and I'll let you speak to it.
It's a back and forth and it's responding directly to Jeremy questioning her about race swapping. And so this person responds with tattoo and smut connoisseur. So that's the person you're working with.
This is who's complaining. This is a porn artist in Cary, North Carolina.
So this is one example, black people die first trope. And she responds to that about how, she apologizes for how she didn't realize she was hurting people by doing that. And she calls it a head smack moment. But like, I didn't, maybe that did happen, but I didn't notice it. And then the response to that is, after she apologizes the first time, someone says they're sad that Luca being openly bi and then dying moments later. And she says, asked if there'll be more. She goes, it doesn't, there will be more, much more. So you can only pander so much, I would think, before your show is completely buried beneath all this politics. Because another one was a character who was black and deaf died, and she was apologizing for that because she could have killed a different character instead, and that she only did it to show that sewers were scary. And so she's breaking down every little part of a show that she wrote or with other people, and you can't have representation in these things and then not have bad things happen to people.
Well,
let's look at who's
her show either. Like,
no,
these people aren't watching her show. Like,
no,
that's the thing.
These aren't people.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not going to take away from. I'm not going to disempower. What is this person's name? The tattoo and smut connoisseur, who's a porn artist writer. I mean, that's cool. I guess 38 years old and you're still doing porn and being a tattoo artist. That's not how I would roll. But that your opinion, sir, ma'am, it, they, them. Entirely valid, but that doesn't mean that we all have to listen to it. And I have a lot of opinions that I have on a lot of crazy things too. I just don't expect the world to stop and change for me because of it. And what we're seeing with a lot of these comments are, because of my unique circumstances, I'm going to be offended by something that you never intended and hold you accountable for my emotional reaction to something that you never intended. And I want you to fix how I'm feeling about something you did that you never intended to do to me. That, to me, is what we saw with G4 and that whole Frosk thing that went on. And we have gotten comments for people wanting us to cover it in my live streams. This is as much as I'm going to cover it. And I'm going to say this. you can be offended all you want. You can throw a tantrum in the corner. You can talk about how unfair the world is. The world has always been unfair. The world has been really unfair to people who were on D-Day in during World War II. The world was really unfair to those soldiers and sailors in Pearl Harbor. The world was also incredibly unfair to those people in the Soviet republics when Stalin went through and massacred everyone. The world has not been a very fair place, but living here in the 21st century, it is one of the most fair places you could ever possibly imagine. And now people are cherry picking imaginary grievances to go along with their imaginary problems that they transfer to other people. And I, for one, am very much over it. And I would just like to have good stories and good entertainment.
The one last thing I want to talk about for this is that all of this came from her daring to speak to someone that these other her quote unquote fans don't appreciate, and that's it. And so it became an apology to her after that, because she spoke to someone that, and they said that hurt them. It was harmful that she would speak to that person.
Yeah. How many
nuts.
times how many times has the Quarter X channel been under attack? Let's be honest about it. But
Has she done anything that's going to piss off Peter Dinklage?
she uses
You know what? There are dwarves on the
short
show.
words.
Yeah.
She uses short words. Yeah, there were dwarves in the first season. That's right, with the dragon. God, that was a good
And season 2.
episode.
They were in season 2 also.
That's
Yeah,
true.
They showed up
That's
at the
true.
end. Yeah.
I just remember
Has
the
he
gold
not taught
dragon.
her anything from his soapbox?
I guess not. He needs a bigger soapbox, I guess.
You beat me to it. I need a bigger box. We haven't talked about that. Zach, is there anything else you want to cover with this? This is such a good point.
No, that's it. But this is just, it shows us the road that we're on, where you start with the conversation and you end with an apology.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, anybody can be offended about anything. If you have no real problems, I don't know how else to say it. When you work 40 hours a week, when you are a good, responsible human being and pay your taxes and don't expect everybody else to take care of you and emotionally regulate you instead of you emotionally regulating yourself, this is what you get. And I don't know, man. It's a weird world right now. So yeah, Mike, you wanted to talk a little bit about, I think it was Mike wanted to talk about Dinklage. And Nick, you can jump in at any old time.
It wasn't me that brought it up. No. Well, I did just now, but I mean, not earlier.
So did we
talk about it though?
Did we come to a consensus what the hell was going on with Peter Dinklage?
Oh yes, we
watched
we did have a conversation. Yeah,
videos.
I actually do not understand what his gripe is, because it seems like it's inverted. So I don't know.
What
And
did
if
I
anyone
miss?
knows exactly what his beef is, I would like to know about it, or at least
What's
understand.
he's mad about something? Is that what's going on? I was working
I think
today.
he's
so
mad
I
about
have no
the
idea.
quote-unquote representation of dwarves in
What-
Snow
That's what
White.
it is. Yeah.
Right, but I
It's
don't
Snow
understand what his
White.
problem is.
Yeah, my understanding is I don't really know what his problem is, as you say, because
He should be.
pretty much
should be
everyone
pissed
has
off- I'm
known
sorry.
about this adaptation for a long while now, and he's only now getting to it.
He should
Right,
be
but
pissed
I
off
He knows
about
what, I don't think he knows what his
representation.
problem is.
Yeah, I genuinely do not understand. I mean, I'm not trying to. I'm actually being honest right now. I'm actually saying words I mean. I actually do not understand what his grief is with this. Is he saying he doesn't want dwarves cast in any movies? Is he saying he doesn't want them typecast as dwarves in a mine? Like I don't know.
Everybody forgot who he was, so he needed something to be outraged.
Well, that was
about
my
to get
point
back in the
too.
headlines.
Yeah.
Because he should be more concerned about the treatment of dwarves in Game of Thrones.
Or maybe the
He's worried
dwarves
that
in
dwarves are going to be a laughing stock or something.
in what was the movie? Was it Avengers Infinity War, or was it the Thor movie with Hulk, which I can't remember because
It was Infinity War, where he crafted the
yes, where he so
Stormbreaker?
he played a dwarf who was a smith.
the Uber dwarf. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the thing
Played
about
an elf, or really, but whatever.
Like next thing you know, he's gonna be pissed off for being cast as a dwarf. It's like, dude,
yeah.
like You were cast as an elf and elf, right? Or, well, I guess it wasn't really an elf.
Right,
Let's
but
be honest about it.
being-
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the
feeling
other
strong,
thing
my
with
man.
Yeah.
the other thing with this is Disney did not invent Snow White in the Seven Dwarfs. Snow White in the Seven Dwarfs is an Eastern European folk tale. It goes way back, even beyond Aesop's fables. These are stories that have been around for a very long time. They were written by, it was either the Brothers Grimm or someone. It's been a couple of years since I went through the etymology of that, or whatever the correct word is. But these stories have been around in cultures for thousands of years and told orally for hundreds of years. The fact that Disney picked it up and turned it into a musical in, what was it, the 30s, is irrelevant. So if Dinklage doesn't like the fact that Disney, who pays his salary and gave him a very handsome check for portraying a dwarf in a recent Marvel movie, is going to have a problem with the fact that dwarves are somehow, what is the woke word? I don't even know. But this whole Snow White production, which is going to be live action, is going to be featuring a Latina actress, which is great. That's fine. I hope she does a great job. I don't know what his damage is. I don't get what the hell he's complaining about.
These dwarves are meant to be the good guys, so
Yeah, they're heroic, they're brave. They go up against
they take
bad
Snow White in
magic.
and take care of her.
He's mad that no one's talking about his stupid Cyrano movie. That's what it is.
That's what I was gonna say.
His what
Yeah.
movie?
He desperately wants to get an Academy Award for his Cyrano de Bergerac small film.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
he can't be
Don't say short film.
angry. He can't be angry that dwarves and little people are getting paid, right? Getting a paycheck, having
Look,
roles that they could be
Yeah.
proud of. I mean,
No, nobody said
like
Peter Dinklage
Willow,
was
like
Game
think
of Thrones,
Willow,
so-
right? Willow, the entire village.
Thank you. I was just gonna say, Willow came out in the mid '80s. Not only that, but oh god, what was the other
Time
movie?
Bandits. Time
Thank
Bandits.
you. Time Bandits. What was 82, 81, if I remember right?
God, I
How
haven't
many?
seen
How
that
many?
film in
s-
ages.
It's such a beautiful film. Good luck getting it on DVD. It's really hard to
Of
get.
course,
in
you
America.
have to go back
Willow.
even further and talk about Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
Well, hey, you can see
100%.
the remake, right, of Willow? That's going to be good.
Oh God.
Oh, brought to you by
No
the same
dwarves,
people.
no dwarves in the
Oh my
remake. Watch out,
God.
Peter Dinklage.
Oh, dude.
No
Yeah.
dwarves allowed.
So, like, what are you supposed to do?
Oh,
Just take a full size
Giants.
person
We're
and
gonna
like use
we're gonna
that
flip it on its
thing they
head.
did
It's
in
gonna
Lord of the
be-
Rings?
We're going to flip it
Apparently.
on its head. The dwarves will become
It-
giants because giants
It's never
are
enough. It's
mythological
never enough.
creatures, right?
It's never
So
enough.
we'll have giants instead of dwarves.
We've got Marina Matheran representing the height of sensitivity to things like this when he says Snow Black and the Seven Oompa Loompas. That's why
I
he-
think I've
Boom.
seen that adult related media.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
And
No,
our
I'm
brother
not gonna
Brett
say
Rose is in
anything.
the chat now too.
Oh, wait, where's Brett? Oh, there he is.
The
Hail
Snow
to
White
Brett
and the Seven
Rose.
Baby Daddies.
Okay.
Brett.
Brett Rose, one of my Wolf brothers. Hail to you, sir. Glad to see you in the chat. Son of Jockster was correcting us and saying that Dinklage was playing the Smithy in the Thor Ragnarok. That is a that movie. I would love to discuss that movie sometime because, oh God, Taika Waititi to me turned
second.
Thor into a clown, and now we're going to see what we're going to get with the highly intersectional LGBTQ plus. I'll ruin your mythos in a minute, baby. Thor: Love and Thunder coming out
Ugh.
soon. Yeah, it's fascinating.
It was definitely not. It was Infinity War because that was Thor's whole movie
Nerd
was
fight.
getting Stormbreaker.
Nerd fight.
Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Dwarf-
with you.
Oh, look at
Giant
this.
Dwarf
We've
was
got
in Infinity War.
Forsaken. Shots fired. We've got nerd on nerd, blue on blue crime here. It
Oh,
wasn't
right.
Ragnarok. It was Infinity War.
It was. That was Thor's whole story with Rocket. They
Yeah.
went to forge it in the dying star or
Yep.
whatever.
He did not
Yeah.
have any weapon at the end of Ragnarok. He just had his hands and fists.
Ragnarok, they shattered his steel and
Yep.
Yes. Yep. We just
Immigrant
passed
song and go ahead.
3 hours and we broke my
Yep.
3-hour rule again, but this has been so much fun and we have 32 people in the chat. We have the best damn chat around.
People are
This has
waking
been
up.
so much fun. You guys are fantastic. Let's go ahead and start winding down, but that doesn't mean we have to crash into the side of a mountain like we're an airplane around 5G. Paul Wolfley says modern audience versus reality. The spirit folk. The only difference between fairies and goblins is location. Fairies are in the woods and goblins are in caves, both sinister. Very, very true. That is one thing that Eastern Europe gave us, and I'm of Eastern European origin. I'm Polish and a whole bunch of other things. The folk tales are fantastic, and they served as the basis for a lot of things that got written down, whether it was by Grimm or other people, and then taken by Disney and turned into very valuable properties. But that's what the cultural ignorance of people who are professional grievance seekers who look at a box of pancake batter and are offended. I don't know what you do with that. I think people's willful ignorance is when we enable that and we don't belittle that in a respectful way. I think we do ourselves a great disservice. What do you think about that, Nick McCabe? Is there a place where within Australian culture, if someone's acting out like that and finding fault with everything, I mean, do you make fun of them? Do you politely disagree? What would be the correct thing to do if you're not a boisterous Yank like myself?
Oh no, we make fun of people like that. We usually just say, pull your head in.
So what does pull your head in mean? Does that mean you're kind of sticking your neck out and causing a problem?
I think it's related to sticking your neck out, putting your nose into other people's business, all that sort of stuff. So when someone starts going on and on and on and on, it's just something we say. Pull your head in. It means shut up or get over yourself. All the above.
Ozzy's just making things up.
Yeah,
that's true. Throw another shrimp on the Barbie. Foster's Australian for tolerance.
Ugh, no, not that stuff. Yeah.
Dude, that's terrible beer.
They don't have Foster's there, do they?
It's the commercials we get over here.
That's what we get in America. It's true.
No, and we don't do shrimp on the Barbie. We do lovely tiger prawns.
Oh, tiger prawns. Dude, now you're speaking my language. I had some amazing prawns when I was in Spain a long time ago. These things were huge on sticks and they had heads on them and they were deep fried. And that's the best part, is eating that crunchy antenna thing that's still looking at you.
Yeah, no, we got some good seafood down here.
Cheers. So the Forsaken says, and now they are doing the female Thor, which nobody wants or cares about, except Taika Waititi. God, you guys are, see, I got to be careful about what I say. I posted this almost a year ago with the pictures of Tessa Thompson and who was Taika Waititi's girlfriend, if I'm not mistaken, and another woman all making out together on the set. But I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken. Taika Waititi. So they changed Hawkeye to a girl. The new Iron Man is, of course, this is true, Ironheart. Black Panther will be his sister. I don't know. We'll see about that. I think because she didn't want to have a medical procedure done to her. I don't know if she's going to be able to do that. And then the Hulk is coming up. And the Hulk, and I reported this a while ago, the Hulk is going to be transitioned to a woman, no pun intended. It's going to be a legal drama with She-Hulk on it. On Disney Plus.
What?
I reported this almost 9 months ago, dude. 9 months ago. The Hulk will be set up. It will be the bait and switch with what's his name, Mr. Soy Boy, leftist climate change
Mark
guy.
Ruffalo.
Thank you, Mark Ruffalo. He's gonna go into it, transition it over to the woman who's playing She-Hulk. It's gonna be a legal dramedy comedy thing.
What?
With the
Like,
She-Hulk.
I don't. Who? What? I don't. Words are
You're just
escaping me. I don't
you're
even
you're
understand.
you're just afraid of strong women, Steve. I mean, just admit it, man. You're
Well, isn't that
misogynist.
obvious? I'm here.
If you're there in the chat and you are a woman, we would love to have you on this channel because we all
It
fear
makes me
that
think of Heather
we don't
Swanson.
just want to have the boy perspective on this. So if you are
Heather
a
Swanson,
female
my
YouTuber,
Fe-
I don't
fem-
know.
f- Heather Swanson's my favorite female athlete.
I remember Christy Swanson from the original
Oh
Vampire
well, we're
Buffy
not
the
talking
Vampire
Chris.
Slayer
Oh my
movie.
god. Yeah. Well. Yeah. No, I'm
Ooh.
not talking. Yeah. Well, yes. Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Let's start winding down, everybody. We are going on almost 3.25 hours, and my God, we still have 32 people in the chat. I know I've said it before, but I really mean this. This channel would be nothing without you guys in the chat, leaving comments in the video, reaching out, being part of this, watching the videos. Thank you so much, and not just from me, but I know OBG70, Zax. Everybody feels the same way. We're building a community here, and I'd like to think it's a little bit different than what you're going to see out there because we're not riding on anyone's coattails. We're not trying to be anybody else. I'm Corey, Mike is Mike, Kyle is Kyle, Steve is Steve, and of course Nick is Nick. And it's like we're just going to kind of ride this thing out, man, and have fun doing it. So, speaking
Our
of
chat
which,
is
Nick
building this
McCabe,
community, really.
that's
I
what
mean,
I'm saying. You
yeah, they're
guys are
building it.
making this happen. I mean, and I every time I wake up in the morning, I have so much gratitude and so much appreciation because you guys in the chat are doing the heavy lifting and we're just trying to keep up. So thank you for that. But Nick McCabe, shout out your channel. Talk about where people can find you.
Yep. Hello everyone. I am Nick McCabe. You can find me on YouTube at Nick and Sam McCabe. It's right there in my name. You can also find me on Twitter at Mr. Mooney Blue 1. If you want to follow me there, I do get into a couple of things on Twitter as well. I think you probably all know this by now. My most recent video is basically a rough overview of the Wheel of Time series as a whole. I like to think that I tore it to shreds, and I actually really had I had a lot of fun making that one actually. So go check that out; it'd be much appreciated.
Nick, thank you so much for showing up tonight.
Thanks so much for inviting me.
Honestly,
Yes,
this
thank
is
you very
inside
much for being
baseball.
here.
Like,
It is
like
my pleasure
we have
completely.
none of us have ever hung out together before. I reached out to Nick. Nick reached back out to me on social media. We started talking a little bit in my studio, and then about 10 minutes before the show started, Nick jumps on into chaos with all of us and just rolls with it. So he's a professional. He's a great guy. I am so blessed, not just for these guys, but you
I'm
guys in the
very
chat.
hard to scandalize.
Oh, Nick, we're gonna have you back, dude. This has been a blast, and I want to get some updates on where you are with Wheel of Time and other perspectives on other shows. So, hail to you!
I'm
Thank you
so
for
jealous
showing
of
up
him. I am
tonight.
so jealous. He gets to read for the first time.
Oh
I
yeah.
know.
First time.
My favorite series.
Golly.
Yeah, no,
Gonna be
I
able-
will agree with that. There is nothing like the first time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was stuck in.
It takes much longer to read the books though.
I was just like thinking
Yeah.
about something that happened in the late 80s. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Prophet of the Dragon to Steve. Hail to you. Shout out your channel, sir.
Hey, well, I'm Prophet of the Dragon. There you go. Making my Wheel of Time videos, maybe some other things eventually. Got a few things that I have in the pipeline I'd like to try and get done if I ever get any time. Breaking down how much time is wasted is in the Wheel of Time series is top of my list. So, but that's going to take some time. But I do want to say for anybody that actually would like to discuss Wheel of Time, and you go into that cesspool that is a Reddit, I suggest go ahead and join the White Cloaks subreddit. You can say whatever you want there, pretty much. Like, dislike, whatever you want. You can actually have some conversation there. So I've had a lot of fun with those guys. It's been cool. And they got a lot of cool things to say. and they keep me sort of up to date with all this craziness that's going on with the Wheel of Time stuff. So, but yeah, so I don't know, more to come. We'll see. Yeah. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I feel like I sort of shoved my way in here, but
Oh God, no, dude. Dude, you reached out to me, and it's like I could not wait to have you on again. Really, I love having you on. And next time we're gonna do this with Manamenethra and yourself. We're gonna do some good talking. Check it out, Forsaken. I'm so sleepy. I'm typing like shite. Ha. Yeah, welcome to the club. Yeah, I mean, some inside baseball. While this has been going on, when these guys have been vamping, I've been drinking a lot of bourbon. So there you go. So hey, this has been a lot of fun. Let's go to who do we got left? Let's go to Mike. Mike, shout out your channel, sir.
Yes, this is Mike on the mic coming at you from Southern California. I do have a YouTube channel. It is called OBG70. I do videos.
I was waiting for you to go
Videos.
somewhere on that. No, Mike does a lot of videos, and he does them several times a day. And they
Because
are
of profit, because of this guy up
Wait,
here in the
wait,
upper right hand corner.
Wait, what did I do?
He's lighting a fire under my ass to get some
What?
stuff done.
they're
Wait,
in
what did I do?
4K.
You're
wait,
doing
wait.
content. You're doing
Wait,
so much
so-
content.
Oh, I guess yeah, I did have a good run there. My
Yeah.
next video is going to be on mixed race giant.
I get these
Ninja Dwarfs
notifications.
and Willow. So.
I get these notifications popping up on my iPad all the time.
I don't.
Brett Rose.
I don't want.
Brett,
I don't want the
Brett-
dinklage after me. So mixed race,
Oh.
Ninja Dwarfs, giant Ninja Dwarfs, and Willow. That's my
Look at Brett
crusade.
Rose. Brett Rose
Check it
is
out.
slapping you around
Yeah.
too. Oh my God.
Check it out, Steve.
Dropping the
I'm
bombs.
sitting
Yeah.
there. I'm sitting there reading on my iPad in my chair with the dog on my lap, and I get the Prophet of the Dragon has uploaded a video. The Prophet of the Dragon has uploaded a video, and it's just like, okay, fine. God damn it! I get up, I go make a video. It's you're making it happen, dude. Without you,
Well,
I
I'm
would.
trying, man.
Oh
I'm
man,
Oh,
trying.
Punk
It's
Waddle.
like,
I don't know
they're
what
not
that
the
is,
highest
but,
quality,
I
but
wouldn't drink
I'm
it.
trying. I'd like to be a little more consistent. I got to get my I don't know, Ninja Dwarf giant pouring up. I guess I don't know. Get me
You know,
motivated.
the thing about YouTube is, I mean, if you ever want to enter a house of horrors, go look in the folder that I have when I first started making videos. And boy, there is no greater teacher than experience. And I will never take them down because I want everyone who subscribes to me to understand that we all have to start somewhere. And all you need to do is buy a microphone with an arm. They're $40 on Amazon, or you can get them other places, and start talking. And you will find people like Mike OBG70, like Zax, like Nick McCabe, like Prophet of the Dragon, like Manamenethrin. And you will find that you're not alone, and just start this journey, start making content. Reach out to me. We are all up and coming YouTubers, and the more of us there are expressing our opinions and having lively debates at times, I think the better this ecosystem is. So that's my 2 cents. That's my soapbox motivation.
Yep.
Reach out to me on Twitter or Getter or Minds. I will tell you the mic I have. Literally, I have bought an expensive ones. I'm back to the $50 one with the arm because I think the sounds better than a Yeti. But that's neither here nor there. Don't let technology be a holdup for you if you want to be creative. Just jump in and start swimming. Zax, sir, shout out your channel.
Yeah, I'm making videos over on Zach7 on YouTube, and so please, I broke 100 subs this week. I'm pretty excited about that. So if you haven't subbed, please go give me a sub. I'm making videos all the time now. Some random topics sometimes, but whatever I feel like making, I'm gonna make. And if you really want to make another YouTube account, make 6, and then you can sub to me on all of them. Nothing wrong with that.
no,
And
no.
How do
and
you
I
think
also-
I have
After
half my
people.
subs? I spent
thought
all day
that-
just making YouTube accounts. Nobody
I
watches
also,
my
me.
brother.
Just Mike.
Look at my wolf brother, Resurrection 117. He says he's drunk. I'm not drunk. I am just pleasantly not sober. So hail to you. Don't let anybody label you. You are just pleasantly not sober.
But
Resurrection
bourbon is classy
117.
drunk. It's different.
It's true.
Right?
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there are different levels
This
of
is not
bourbon, and
mouthwash drunk.
we could have a conversation about that. But yeah, I try to drink an above average bourbon, the Jeremy Grimes of bourbons, as they say. So
I also make
shout
videos
out
on
80s and Kings.
pop culture minefield, so that's in the chat as well. So I
Hail.
help over there a bit. And
This has been a
I'm
blast, you guys, and thank you to the chat. We still have.
Did he
Corey?
die? Is he dead?
I think something happened.
Did we lose him? He
You guys
passed
hear me
out.
all right?
Corey passed
Giant
out.
dwarf. Giant dwarf.
No,
Giant
no, I'm back. Restream just timed out. No, what was I saying? No, this has been fantastic. Thank you everybody for showing up tonight. We will be back next Tuesday. I'm going to be doing some pre-recorded live streams with a couple other YouTubers. We will go from there. So everyone have a great evening. I'm going to go ahead and drop us out with our outro. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you to the Wolf Brothers. Special thank you to Nick McCabe, as well as Prophet of the Dragon.
I'll be back.
This is my favorite night of the week, and you guys don't know how much we try to make sure that we do a good job for you because, again, this channel is built by you. We're just doing the best we can to make sure that we provide what you all deserve. Hail to everyone. We will see you again soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.